Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. I'm your host, Harris, a.k.a. Monoxide, man of many automotive aspirations. And I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Dan Deckard, Gun at Garage, man of, I don't know, many Mustangs.
I don't know. Man of, jack of all trades, master of none is kind of what I like to consider myself.
You got the jack part, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the show where we kind of go beyond the meat, where we get to meet people within our car community, get to know them in a long format. It's been really cool. It's been a really fun journey. We're coming up on 1 year here. I mean, 1 month for you, but
yeah,
he's been employee of the month.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
That helps.
But nonetheless, I totally stole your intro. But
I know, that's what I was thinking. Maybe I'm getting fired. I don't even know about it yet.
Yeah.
Christmas bonus? Nope.
Yeah.
No. I'll make sure to fire you right before Christmas, like one of the bigs.
Yeah.
But anyways, today we got Michael Morgan, the man behind Morgan's Motorplex. Many stories now that I think about it. You've done a lot of cool stuff, you know, ranging from the Viper to the drift scene to, I mean, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we can begin at any place, but I'll just kind of let you just introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
Sure. My name is Michael Morgan. I run Morgan's Motorplex based out of Minnesota. Idea behind that was to build a driving complex in St. Cloud or close to it. Still working on that on the back end. But in the meantime, we hosted autocross events, kind of do a karting event every year during the winter to keep everybody kind of interested, you know, give somewhere, you know, something's better than nothing. So we rent out different venues and offer autocross for that. And then on the other flip side, I also manage US Air Motorsports Raceway in Shawano, Wisconsin, which has a big drift following. So I get kind of the best of both worlds. I do both autocross over in Minnesota and drifting over in Wisconsin. So kind of a mixed bag, which is good.
You do everything except for drag racing, it seems like.
It's too simple.
Yes.
No,
All right, well, there go half our listeners. But no, I really enjoy all the different things that you do because, I mean, again, you recently got into the drifting thing, which it looks like it has been successful. I definitely want to talk about that. But I did your autocross event this year. That was my first time doing autocross. I've only been on a track twice ever, driving. My first time was, in a Huracan at the Vegas rental place or whatever. 5 laps. It's fun the first time, but honestly, I would never pay that ever again. Right. And then obviously your autocross event, which I did a video on earlier this year. I learned a lot about myself in those 6 laps.
Yes.
I learned that I have a lot of potential, but man, I sucked.
It's a learning curve, you got to get comfortable, and everybody preaches, your biggest upgrade seat time. And that's what we preach too. You're going to get comfortable. You're going to notice it as you progress too as a driver. You're going to learn tips and tricks, and you're going to pick up a lot of things as you get more seat time. So that's what we want to do. We just want to offer the seat time, basically. Yeah,
which I'm really excited for this season. And again, we will get into that as well. I'm just kind of laying the foundation for this episode because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But you were the first Viper that I rode in.
Yes, I remember.
When I was helping Golden Peak Productions, that was really fun. Don't burn yourself on the side exhaust, that fun stuff.
The snake bite, yeah.
So I'm curious, because you do a number of road course things. I know you've done Power Cruise and all that stuff before. Where did the love for track stuff begin?
I would say driving on the back roads, just on cruises. You get 5 buddies going around, and we'd rip around St. Cloud on the south side and just, all right, let's go, and we would push it. And then all of a sudden one of your buddies don't come up over the hill. It's like, all right, what happened? So you turn around and go check it out. But it was driving, on back roads, basically just pushing the envelope. And then it's like, whoa, this would be cool if we could do something around here like this. Well, why don't we start asking, So then we started looking into, all right, what venues do we have available that we could rent? And then it kind of just escalated into what it is now. So that was my passion for road course and autocross. I would say Brainerd, being so close to Brainerd, that had a big influence as well.
Because you're from St. Cloud initially, right?
From St. Cloud, so it's only an hour.
Yeah, an hour versus, for me, it's a 2.5 hour trek to get up there.
Yep.
So then did you spend a lot of time at Brainerd then?
I would say yes, but more as a participant instead of a spectator. And I noticed how few grassroots events that they held that you could go to. So it was kind of one of those, this is fun, why don't we do this more? And then that's what kind of progressed into, all right, let's go start looking for what we can do. And then we started looking at venues and then kind of escalated into what it is now. Yep.
So then for you, I know for a while you were trying to get a track built. I don't know if that's still the case, but You were trying to get one like in that St. Cloud area, right?
Yep. St. Cloud, because of the 2.5 hour drives. So we could cater to Brainerd, Alexandria. We could pull from all of those places, but all the money's down in the cities.
Yeah. Well, it's very easy for me to, every hour you go further out, it's harder to justify. Like I run into this with rallies all the time. It's like a 14-hour drive home is not too bad.
Right.
You look at an 18-hour drive like we did from Niagara Falls, a lot of people were bitching.
Yep.
So
yep. It's like flying, though. Like the Midwest mentality, if it's under 12 hours, you're going to drive it because it's faster to drive it than to fly it.
yeah.
I found out like a lot of Midwesterns will drive instead of flying. So on the contrary, a lot of Minnesotans don't like leaving Minnesota, whereas people from Chicago, Wisconsin, they'll drive the 3 hours and not complain about it one bit just because that's all they have, right? So I don't know. There's a big difference in between Chicago and going to a drift event for 6 hours, like driving 6 hours and doing that, compared to driving to Power Cruise for 2.5. There's a lot of different opinions on that, which I found very different. You know, you would think it would be the same, but it seems like Minnesota people don't like leaving their house, whereas Chicago people want to leave.
Well, I always joke around with anybody I know is from Illinois that Wisconsin is their state park.
For sure.
That's a thing. They come up here to snowmobile,
Yep.
side by side, go to the lakes, all that stuff. Because no offense, Illinois, you don't really have shit.
No.
Just so yeah.
Nope.
We saw that in Indy too. You're trying to pick up like a discount sled, and you couldn't find one on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
Marketplace.
you get down even into northern Illinois, the sleds get a little bit scarce, but
Yeah.
Is that part of the equator? So then tell us a little bit about the journey of, because like I know for years you were trying to get this track off the ground. I mean, did you run into some struggles and stuff?
So much. Just it's all politics, and I hate politics. Like I'm a sales guy in my real life or for my career, and it's just I don't beat around the bush. I just say this is what it's going to cost. That's it. I don't want to butter it up and say, oh, let me check back, call the banker, do the deal or no deal kind of bullshit. It's just straight to the point. So that's what I prefer. But all of the counties, they all view it like a prison. So it's great for tax revenue, but it sucks for everybody else that lives around it. And you can't build it out in the middle of nowhere because it has to have a commercial or industrial zoning. You're not going to find that out in the middle of nowhere because it's all going to be agricultural or residential. So there's a conflict there. You go to an industrial park, they don't want it because they don't want to listen to it all day because they're working. And then if you go to a commercial area, everything around you, like it's not big enough for you to build on. Plus the price tag for commercial land compared to agricultural is 3 to 4 times higher, So we started with the counties. None of the counties want to do it. They all suggest to look into townships. So then we started looking into townships, and those small board meetings, they don't get anywhere. I've been to 4 or 5 of them, 5 different areas: South Haven, Foley, Sauk Rapids, just to name a few. And they, the board likes it, but they never get further than that. So they don't say, yeah, let's do this. Let's, go through with it. Because you got to apply for a conditional use permit. And then if one person says no, it's kaput. Like you can't argue. It's not a debate. It's not a back and forth conversation. It's, no, we're not going to approve this.
have you
And they won't give you a reason why.
have you only been looking in your St. Cloud area, or have you tried like around the metro, all that kind of stuff too?
So I haven't tried the metro because the price of land is ridiculous compared to what it is in St. Cloud.
Well, I was thinking something like Cottage Grove, right? Like that's just kind of, and that would be an opposite corner of Brainerd, so you wouldn't really be inflicting on.
So Farmington used to have a proposal on their desk that, Wolfpack or something like that. Wolfpack, it was a really big thing about 4 or 5 years ago where they were selling like memberships for $100,000 or something like that. And they haven't even built the complex yet. He was going to build something in Farmington off of 35, I think it is. And that never went through just because one person said no. Becker was going to have a NASCAR oval. That never got pushed through. They built, I want to say Google like servers or something like that in place of it and gave them a tax credit. Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. It's just trying to find land where a county is going to allow us perform what we want to perform. But until then, we just keep renting venues and stuff like that. So I know there hasn't been a new drag strip built, I want to say, in the last 30 years, except for Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah.
You notice that when you go to a lot of them too. It's like
They all
it's
look
just
old.
like an old rundown shack and
Yeah.
a couple nice little paved pieces of road and yeah.
I think they just built one down in Kansas.
Drag strip?
I think so.
Could have, yeah.
Yeah. There's some big event that's coming on, like some grand opening coming up in the next few months or whatever. So
Okay.
I'm going to double check on that. So it was big. I think Kyle Loftus posted about it on
Okay,
Facebook.
cool.
So
Good.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's new or a reopening or whatever. Because, for example, there was one down in the southeast that was reopening too that he posted about.
Okay.
That's been shut down for however long, run
Yeah.
down, just
Weeds growing through the cracks. Yeah.
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 Well, it's like remember you were I think you were on Crown the year when they did the half-mile airstrip attack, right?
Yeah. Outside of Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Like it's like, dude, like I mean, it was fun. People got up some high speeds, but it was a little run down in parts.
It was sketchy. It was bumpy, and it was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, but yes, it was cracks, and you could feel the heaves every time you're going 130 over them. So, yep.
Who was the fastest? I want to say it was Larry, right?
It was either Larry or there was another gentleman. Oh, geez. He had a McLaren 720.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a co-pilot because he couldn't find anybody. And then he had another vehicle on the rally, and he had his attorney go with.
That's right.
And neither one of them had a co-pilot. And I'm just like, that blows my mind. Like, I couldn't even imagine navigating that by myself, let alone.
Dude, that was a tough one to navigate. I was
Yeah.
in the SVJ with Savage Garage, and somehow I ended up trying to run in directions for this posse of 3.
Yep.
That was nerve-wracking.
Was that when they had the checkpoints with people still?
No.
Okay.
No, this was 8. This
Okay.
is 8. Yeah, I think it was 2019. Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Something like that.
18 or
Yep.
19.
Yep.
Yeah, that was wild.
That might have been the first one that they did. Because the first one I did, they had people at checkpoints. And that
Yeah.
was very hard to navigate. Because you're like, all right, I get this postcard. Where do we go? So, yeah.
It's a mess when your directions go out the window.
Yeah.
But so typically, how long or how big are these committees that shut things down?
So like Sauk Rapids, that one's absolutely, it left a thorn in my side. Contacted them, said, hey, this land's for sale. It's still for sale. It's zoned as industrial, but there's residential next to it. What it is it's land that is part of this township, but it's eventually going to get annexed into the city. So we would like to purchase it because once that annexation happens, the residential zones go into industrial or commercial. So they can't live on those properties. They're grandfathered in now, but they can't live in them once it gets annexed. So they're going to lose their homes. They're going to have to remove. But we wanted the land because we wanted that property before that happens. So we went to the town meeting. I called them beforehand and I said, hey, do you want me to like tell people that are in support of it to go? Or do you want me to hold off the dogs and basically say, hey, just let us, this is all for information. Do you want me to just wait because you guys aren't going to take a vote? Oh, tell them not to go. This is just for information. We weren't even put on, gosh, what do they call it? The town script or whatever. They have like a agenda. We weren't even put on the agenda. We were just talking in the open forum for 10 minutes. So I had 10 minutes to say, hey, can we put this on the agenda for next month? And that's the process that they wanted. So I went in, spoke for probably 5 minutes about what it is, what we're wanting to do. And out of the 5 minutes that I got, there was a whole line of people behind me that were against it before they even knew what it was for. So they gave me 5 minutes. They gave everybody else 5 minutes saying, oh, it's going to be noisy. It's going to do this. It's going to increase traffic. And they just said, all right, let's take a vote. And I'm like, you told me not to. So we had that petition going around on Facebook. I think we got like 1,200 signatures or something like that. I'm like, well, what about those? Like, you're not going to consider those? And they're like, we're just going to take a quick. And I'm like, that's not even legal. You have to send out a notice to everybody within a certain mile radius.
So if somebody was for it, they could plan to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I told everybody not to go because I wanted seats for people that were against it so they could get the information so they could make an actual decision based off of facts, not rumors. And they just, nope, we don't want to entertain this. And they didn't have to give an answer. That's what burned my ass the most. It was, well, we don't have to give you an answer if we want to put you on the agenda or not tonight. Well, what's the whole point of me coming down here then?
Right.
How hard is it for you guys to step aside and say, should we consider this or not? They didn't want to give an opinion, nothing. So that really left a thorn in my side. And then we started focusing on, all right, let's move ahead with this autocross stuff. And then we'll put the land and track on the back burner. And then the price of asphalt now, it's dollars compared to when it was dimes, back before COVID. So now we kind of transferred into, all right, let's focus on the autocross. Let's really excel at what we can offer and what we can control. And then on the backside, we'll still look for potential opportunities. So
that's really frustrating. That I hate when people play dirty like that.
Yeah.
again, like you said, it's like you could send out a notice, all the right parties can show up.
My dad had a house in Holton, Wisconsin. Same thing there. All that little like township and all the politics like you're talking about, it is all on like who scratches whose back, who's pissed off. There could be one Karen that hates it, and everybody is like, we're just not going to deal with this because she hates it. It just gets to be such a whiny little. I don't know if anybody's watched the news or anything lately, but I'm scared for a lot of our everything these days. But yeah,
would you say Sauk Rapids? I can't even say their stupid city. How's this?
Sauk Rapids.
Sauk Rapids. Okay, simple enough. What was it? Was the entire board against it or whatever? Or
no, it was just basically it was I forget his title. It's one person on the board that we shot emails back and forth, and then he goes, "You can show up, but we're not going to make a decision on it." So I showed up, gave him the information.
Yeah, you trusted that he was not going to be insert whatever
a roadblock.
word.
Yeah. So, and you said it, the whininess.
Yeah.
If you're against it, you're going to be more vocal than you are for it.
Yep.
That's the most difficult part because people that are for it, they're not going to say anything. Well, they might, but the percentage of people that are going to voice their opinion against something they disagree with is a lot higher than it is when they're for it.
Which is crazy because, like, we saw the effect that car enthusiasts had on Coon Rapids. When we did the Coon Rapids cruise, we would take over that entire strip and we would patron most businesses. I mean, nobody cared about some of them, but
right.
most of them, especially like the food places, like, like I never tried half these food places, and because we're over here on the strip, I feel like you could bring in some good money with a track. I don't know what the economics are in that world. Maybe you could speak to that, but I don't know. I feel like for a small city like that, if you had several events a week, especially this close to the cities, I mean, that'd be, I don't know. So can you speak to the economics of it much or not really?
I can with Shano just because I got
insider information now.
Not even insider, just experience, just running that for the last year, just learning, hey, this worked, this didn't work. Like this year for Shano was R&D. So, hey, let's open up the floodgates. Let's see what works, what doesn't work. If we take a loss on an event, we learned from it. And if we excelled on something, all right, let's focus our attention on that. So, like for 2024, we have almost every weekend booked already because we have drift grants, autocross events, private parties. Like we opened that floodgate up where before it was, let's just do 2 or 3 events a month. Now we're doing 7 to 8. Because we're doing it on the weekends. So I think it's profitable as long as you manage it. That's the thing. You can't get too carried away and you have to keep the upkeep. So like when I went over to Shano, I had no idea how to run a track. Like I knew that, they knew that. I was a event promoter before I was a track manager. So I've been in everybody's shoes that are contacting the track to say, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And I've been in their shoes. I know usually right from wrong before it happens. So it's being proactive instead of reactive and just open door communication. And it's that non-politic bullshit where, hey, if we don't like something, we're going to change something like instantly. Yeah, if you have a good reason behind it, enforce it. But if you don't, let it go,
Right.
So it's having that respect. You got to respect the people that come through the doors and say, you're going to handle this. And if they can't, then you have to step on it. But don't micromanage their event because it's their name on it, not yours, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
So I'm curious. So is there a level of risk to doing more events then, like 7 instead of 3? Or is it...
You might flood the market.
Okay.
So I've talked with Rick over at Grove Creek. He has that 8th Mile drag strip. And I said, how come you don't host more events? Because he only does like 2 a month. And he's like, well, why would I work more to make less? I said, what do you mean? And he goes, if I can make, hypothetically, just $100,000 on this weekend when I only had to work a week beforehand instead of 3 events at $25,000, why would I host 3 more events when I could make the same amount of money on 1 event? All right, that makes sense. He goes, I'm not here to work myself to death. Like, let's focus on this and then capitalize on the bigger events. Plus, he's got to play with Brainerd and Rock Falls because you're competing for the same fish.
Right.
Yep. So whereas Shano is kind of isolated by itself, you got Drift Indy, which is 9 hours away, or you got Fargo, which is 7. So it's kind of, they do have GLD, which is 3 hours away, but it's a parking lot compared to a road course. So it's kind of apples to oranges.
So autocross, so like what you do with Morgan's Motorplex.
Yep.
And like what you got going on in Schwano. Is it so like what is autocross for people that don't know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And like how big do your courses get laid out? It's something that always wanted to do, but I have like a big old front V8 car, and I've never really thought that it was great for autocross. I mean, like what Harris has is perfect for that kind of deal. So, but I don't know if something like what I drive can compete or not.
The size doesn't matter. It's about how you use it.
Yeah,
exactly. Hey, I saw the wink. So autocross is, think of it like a time trial. It's basically you got to start and then a stop, and it's not a lap. It's getting from one destination to the next without hitting cones.
Okay.
So most autocrosses are set up in a parking lot fashion, and they have cones, and each cone represents either a corner or a wall or a gate, depending on which direction that cone is. So if it's tipped on its side with a cone upright next to it, that's a pointer cone, or a turn is what it's supposed to represent. And then you have gates and all that stuff. If you hit a cone, it's a penalty, 1 second, 2 second, depends on which organization you go with.
Okay.
So Morgan's Motorplex, we're not SCCA sanctioned, and we don't want to be because we don't want to follow the 120-page rule book. We're very relaxed. We're more of people brought a 12-pack to a tailgate party is what I've been told is the vibe, you know.
Well, getting seat time, too.
Seat time, yes. Yep. So we allow 6 runs, and they're timed runs, and it is 4-season points and trophies and stuff like that. But it is very laid back. We always tell everybody, take your first 3 runs, figure out the course so you don't get 3 DNFs in a row, and then you're frustrated, and then you can't perform for the last 3 kind of thing. So
I struggle with performing.
Saw the wink. Yeah.
Plenty of DNFs for you too.
So yeah, don't go hot out of the gate. Take your time with it.
I learned that one too, because like I'm front wheel drive, so I would blow my tires off sometimes.
Yeah. So autocross, Morgan's Motorplex autocross depends on where we're at. So if we're at the state fairgrounds, it's an autocross, glorified autocross. Usually autocross has more corners in it than a road course. So you're turning 15 to 25 corners depending on course layout, whereas a road course you have 10 to 14. So you're turning a lot more on an autocross. A lot of, I call it hand over fist turnings, where your steering wheel has to go more than your typical road course where it's clocked out one way or another.
And like then, a switchback situation.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. Okay.
Yep. And then your speeds are a lot lower on an autocross course, just because you're not supposed to get top speed. So it's not about V8 raw big power. It's more nimble. So it'll cater to nimble cars, but the V8 cars do
they have a class in their own, I assume.
At SCCA they do. On ours they do as well. But SCCA, if you have an air filter, you're in a different class. If you have DOT, different brake fluid, you're in a different class basically. Okay. So ours, if you're a V8 and if you're in a Mustang like GT350, you're in SGT. If you're in a 97 Mustang, you're in GT. So it's very loose for our classing, which we like. We don't want to confuse everybody. So you should be able to walk down the pit road and say this guy's in this class, and we don't take modifications into account.
Well, yeah, again, it kind of comes down to, you're not trying to be this whole, national sort of thing. You're just trying to, again, get people seat time.
Yep.
At a good price. And one of the things that I really love about your events is I don't have to work them.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me. I always yell at Piero, I don't want to fucking work. He's like, well, you could just time people. I'm like, but I also want to leave. I got stuff to do.
Yeah. So you could pick your run class. If you want to run first class, first run, you are in and out in under probably an hour and a half. So you show up at 8, driver meetings at 9, you could be done by 10 and go to a wedding by noon. So we've had a couple of people show up Saturday with their tuxes in the trunk. All right, we got to get going. So we cater to people that want to get in, get out, and go. So we don't expect you to sit around all day. We don't expect you to work the cones. We got volunteers that do that. So I got a team of probably 10 to 20 volunteers that come out, and they'll do the timing, they'll do registration check-in, and they'll run cones and all that fun stuff.
I really liked your team. They were very supportive of us newbies last year.
Oh, they love it. Yep.
Dude, honestly, I think I even mentioned it in the autocross video I made. You guys got a good setup over there. Everybody just likes to be there. Yep. I really like that St. Cloud location. I hope you're able to keep that this year. I know we talked about the economics of that a little bit. So hopefully we can get some people involved, whether it be sponsors or whatever. Because I personally liked it. Otherwise, the other one's in Rochester?
So we did one in Rochester. That was essentially, think of a auditorium, or not even an auditorium. Think of a concert hall where it's 6 different parking lots and then the hub of where the colleges. So we had 6 different parking lots, and we set up a different course in each parking lot. So the first course, you went down and back almost like an Arizona or a killer that you would do in gym back in high school. Next one was figure 8 or whatever it was, and then a slalom course, and we kind of just linked all that together. A lot of hazards with curbs and light poles.
I was gonna say, do they have all those like little things in this? That's probably like a snowplow's nightmare. Those little where they got the curbs with the grass and the light poles and all that stuff. Or
So it's basically just the curbs that isolate the parking lots from each other. That was the biggest thing. So if you spun, you were probably hitting a curb. So not a lot of people pushed it, which was all right. But we got a new location. We got another. I want to say 50% of those people were brand new people that have never been with us before. So that was cool to see. And it kind of catered to the people in the cities. They could drive an hour to a new location instead of keep going to St. Cloud every time. And then, St. Cloud's fun. It's a
even I got pretty fast. Like,
so that is more of a standing start road course is what I would call it, or standing start event where you're at the start stop line and you go and you complete your one lap. And you don't do another, it's not a lap. You complete your segment and then you're done. A lot of people don't understand what standing start is, so we advertise it as an autocross. But you're hitting 130, 150 on the backstretch after the banked corner. So, yeah,
if you
get moving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I probably got up to 110, 120,
Yep.
I think. I don't know. I didn't have my GPS working that day, unfortunately.
Yep.
I just know I was cooking. And that banked turn.
You can't see it from, like, Google Maps.
It's so freaking awesome. Like, that was my first time on a banked turn like that too, and it's just like feeling like the car wants to get away from you. That's just it was really fun, and like you're going like right past the trees. I mean, it was you had to be awake
for sure.
Yeah,
you had to pay attention. You got to know how to take a corner, and if you don't know, just ask. We'll walk everybody through it.
People said I actually had decent lines on that one.
Yeah,
like obviously with room for improvement. I'm not
right.
Yeah, I sucked at turn 1. Turn 1, I would just
was that quick right-hander, like the 100 and...
No. Like literally the first turn, like from like when you would start, like I would come in just way too hot. I didn't go wide enough to set. I didn't set myself up well for the apex.
Okay.
So I went into the grass like twice. Like
that'll
just
happen.
A little.
Yeah.
Just a little. But I don't think I never hit a cone. I think I locked up my brakes once.
That just means you're pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also like I'm gonna be doing a lot of small adjustments for next year, like actually have my suspension set up properly, because right now it's just low for looks.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I was I did a lot of things wrong.
Going for show car. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm starting to realize that I'm not into the show car scene as much as I am into the race car stuff, especially after PRI.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you need for requirements? So, like, let's say there's somebody listening right now and be like, dude, I know this place is this wide open paved area. Like, what is it like a minimum requirement if you're looking for a place to host an autocross event?
Just little to no hazards inside the paved area is the biggest thing. So
larger the better, I assume.
Church parking lots where we started are great because they don't have light poles and they are not used on Saturdays.
Jesus takes the wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were gonna do a autocross circuit where it was churches and strip clubs. So it was the Saints and Sinners tour.
There you go. That's good. I like it.
But church parking lots are great. We do the state fairgrounds. We did Rochester. We did Brainerd International, and then we do the St. Cloud Highway Research. So this year, 2024, we're going to be looking into other parking lots. We got a couple schools. We're going to look into doing some school stuff because they're closed from June to September.
Yep.
So, and as long as they're not doing softball games and stuff like that, we'll see what we can do. That's pretty much it.
It boggles my mind that these cities, towns, counties, things like that also put up such a fight for this stuff because it's a growing thing, right? Like the automotive enthusiast thing, it's growing. It isn't going anywhere. Cars are only getting faster. They're coming right out the factory with 600-700 horsepower. And then they don't want you in the street. Right? So, like, let's bitch about the street racing, but when it comes time to, I want to go here and do it safely under people who have done the research and set all the stuff up for you, and then now they're going to bitch and complain about that.
It's complain about it, get it off of the street, go to the track, and then they complain that the track's making too much noise.
Yeah.
It's a catch-22.
The noise thing gets so under my skin. Like, so I had a great time at Atlanta Motorsports Park, but we did have a couple of people get black flagged.
I was
off the
black
course.
flagged a couple times. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're fucking obnoxious.
Was it you yelling out the window or?
No, actually, he was very worried about the Supra when we first got there. It was they had like a pop and bang tune on it, and he was like, "Man, I think my car." And then I went up to him, I was like, "Sir, I think my car might be a problem too." And he's like, "Oh, you looked at my car." He's like, "Oh, it's probably gonna be fine." And I was like, "Do you want me to start it up for you?" And he's like, "Yeah, do it." I started it up, and he was like, "Holy shit." He's like, "Okay, you're gonna need to do some short shifting and whatever."
Oh,
so.
man.
I played nice until we were almost done, and then I let her rip, and then I got black flagged 3 times and then kicked off the track. So
Typical renter cart mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get 3 sessions. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was again, I had an amazing experience with the track there. I think Crown went there the same year we did. But again, it's like I think it's like specific corners. You have to short shift.
Yeah.
Which do you remember which turn it was?
I don't remember, but they have a guy sitting in a wooden box up there, and I will say though they were very cool. Like I think that if it went above the decibels a couple times, they weren't really gonna complain.
Right.
The people that were really pushing and stuff like that. I will say that track they were super awesome about it. They basically were kind of, held down by where they were. They couldn't really do anything about it, but they weren't being assholes about it.
They were a lot stricter via email. Like it's like. That's why I was worried about booking that track. But again, they got to cover their bases too.
Yeah.
And again, if it's somebody is loud for all of 1 minute, like again, a lot of people got black flagged in the last half hour of the day. I think it's like, all right, we're done.
Yep.
I'm just glad I didn't get fined because that was one of the potential things that they brought up. It's like, hey, if you keep exceeding this, you're gonna get fined, buckaroo.
Yeah.
So, but nonetheless, it's like. I don't know. It's 2023. Everybody has their stupid AirPods in their ear anyway at night. So it's like, why does it even matter that there's noise? Like everybody's blasting their televisions. They're not home from work until 6 p.m.
Right.
So it's like most track days are done by that point.
Yep.
So
some people just aren't happy unless other people are miserable.
You got it right there. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yep.
They got nothing going on, so they want to complain about somebody else doing something. And it's like, go find something productive to do.
Yeah.
A lot of people just look forward to complaining every day. And to be fair, I catch myself
time
to time.
yeah. I do it. Yeah.
Just like you just kind of get down in this rabbit hole of bitching and moaning because you're bored. Like that's the other thing. Most people are just bored, especially if they're on the board.
Go buy a car, get on the track. You won't be so bored.
So in order for us to rent the Highway Research, I gave the director a ride, and I had the Viper at the time. So first lap out, I've never been on the track before, so I'm taking it slow, seeing if there's wash off from the dirt and stuff like that, seeing if there's contaminants on the asphalt. So I'm kind of talking him through what I'm looking for. All right, there's very little runoff here. Don't push it here. And he's like, all the things you're saying are exactly what I want to hear. Because they do police training there, so they look for those things as well, you know. So then second lap, I said, I want to do 3 laps with you. First lap, I'll show you, first lap, I want to get a feel for it. Second lap, I'll show you what I'm going to do. And then third lap, I'll show you what we want to do. So first lap was slow, nice and easy. Second lap was, 75%. He's like, all right. Third lap was just a flyer. And he said it was the fastest he's ever went on that track because they're used to police training. We hit 160 on that long stretch before we hit that long sweeping right. And he goes, I never want to go that fast on this track ever again. I'm like, I don't blame you. It was scary as shit, because it's rated for they do it to replicate streets, city streets.
Okay.
So it's only 2 lanes wide. It's not a turn in, turn out. There's paying on the track, everything like that. So I slowed down enough for the corner, and he goes, thank you for giving me a ride because I would have never known what it would have felt like from outside. It looks fun from the outside, but going inside of it and actually feeling it is a completely different rush. Mm-hmm. So I want to get those board members out there and say, this is what we do. Show them what we can do, give them a ride, show them what it's about. So then they kind of get hooked on it, and then they'll buy into the system that you're preaching. So yeah, it's just trying to get those people into the right seats.
Yeah.
Yep.
I 100% agree on that. It was different being in a cockpit like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's is that what we call it nowadays? A cockpit? I don't know.
Sure.
Inside of the car.
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's different when you're riding compared to driving too.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't ride with anybody.
Yeah.
I just don't want to.
I rode with Simon with the yellow vet. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Dude, because Derek threw me into his car. He's like, yeah, dude, he'll show you what's up.
Yeah.
And he throws me in there, and I'm just giggling halfway through. I'm like, holy shit, this guy can wheel, dude.
Yeah.
And the thing is, but when we got to the end of it, I asked him how much power are you making in this car? 600 wheel? He's like, no, I think he said I want to say 380 or something. He's only making 40 wheel more than my fucking Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Oh, I have so much to learn. Mm-hmm. That, and I
He's
think,
quick though. He's.
what was he, like second place, first place this year?
I think he took first place overall behind Derek, who took second. Yep.
That's the two guys that we did the photo shoot with the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you see the photo?
I was giving him shit because I went to that go-kart thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got photos of each other. I'm like, that's weird.
Did you see the photos of them laying down on their wings?
I don't think so. I saw the two where they were kind of like facing each other.
Yeah.
I think that was great. The one of them just laying. I meant, I don't know how I do it, but I've been doing photo shoots for a long time, and I know how to get the worst out of people.
Yep.
So I managed to get them both to lay down on their wings, looking at each other with their legs up, and it was hilarious.
Arms underneath their chin.
Yep, exactly.
Just how you would envision it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Dude, yeah, I have a blast doing photo shoots. It was a quiet season for me this year, though.
For photos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because I
You
just
were
been,
busy too.
not necessarily. I'm always down to make a little extra coin and make some cool photos, but yeah, man, it was a wild season.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. Too much going on. So I don't know. So if you had to guess, what are the odds of you keeping that St. Cloud facility as of right now for this year? Probably close to 0.
I don't know yet.
You don't know?
I don't know yet.
I'm curious. Do you do like a season like pre-order thing at all?
With
Like buying tickets. Like if I wanted to buy tickets to schedule myself right now for an event.
So we did a membership this year where it was $60, and then I think it got you like $35 off each run or something like that. And then you were able to run multiple runs, but your second run didn't count. And we did that because we didn't want someone to buy like 5 or 6 different runs and then take your fastest out of the 5 or 6 different runs when you get 6, you know, you're just buying your trophy at that point. So we didn't want to do that, but we did do memberships. We might do like a season package. The only problem with that is if like somebody's car breaks, I'd feel bad. You know, you pre-buy everything and then first race, oh, my car broke, I don't have another one. Well, you just bought 5 other races, and what do you give a refund at that point, you know? So
Right.
it puts me in a situation. So I don't want to have that situation. So just eliminate it. Don't offer it.
That makes
just
sense.
leave it at that. Yeah.
How far out do most of your people buy their tickets?
So we usually post our schedule. We did it in January last year. I will be honest, I've been slacking, just taking it easy.
It's December. Don't
Busy
worry.
iRacing.
Yeah, busy
Yeah.
iRacing. Yeah. So I've been taking it easy, trying to reach out to venues. I have 2 of them locked in. So I need 4 more venues because we want to do 1 a month. And then I have to check with the volunteer team, see what times work for them. And then kind of, there's a lot of background stuff going on before you release the dates. So.
Yeah, I'm currently wrapping up some stuff for 2 rallies, so I know how that goes.
Yeah, it's just, it's waiting for people to answer, and it's, all right, this is the next step, and you can't move on until you get that answer. So there's a lot of idle time.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's so annoying sometimes. But like realistically, you could build out an event in a day. Mm-hmm. But with all that idle time in between, it's just, and right now we're in that Christmas zone. Yeah. So like all my emails are just basically getting like automatic responses right now.
Yep. Oh, we're closed this month. Exactly.
Well, these guys are closed next week, so that's why I'm doing it. Me and Dan are doing a double header today. So right after you, we have we're gonna take our union lunch break, and then we're gonna, and then we got another podcast after that. So we probably won't be done until like 9 or 10 tonight.
Rough.
Honestly, dude, I love it. I'm just excited to see Dan do his first double header, but he's like, nah, man, I work 20 hours a day. It's fine.
Yeah, I work on the road, so I work like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Because when I'm on the road, I'm like, what am I going to do? Go sit in a hotel, get done at 4?
Well,
and go,
yeah.
No thanks. And watch TV with actual commercials on it? No,
Right.
not happening.
Yep.
The actual commercials.
So I work 40 hours in 2 or 3 days and then get back home.
Yep.
Real quick, fuck YouTube with all this crazy, like, oh my, they're getting too comfortable with these ads, dude.
So mine shut off because I have a pop-up blocker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had to, boomer mentality, I had to Google how to disable my pop-up blocker so I could watch YouTube fucking videos on my computer, and it's like, holy cow.
I got YouTube Premium. I love it. It's amazing. But when I sometimes like watch it on like, like a Roku or something, and then there's like now it's like 2 15-second ads. Like before you used to be able to skip after 3 seconds or 5 seconds. And you have to wait 15 seconds before skipping. But no, you have to wait for the second one to finish skipping. It's like, dude, come on. We're back to normal TV again.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's one that has 90-second commercials. I forget, Peacock maybe? I don't, Paramount?
Oh, it might be Hulu. If you
Maybe.
don't,
Yeah,
I don't pay for the high-end Hulu, so I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Popcorn break, yeah.
Yeah. But people have to, like, I don't understand, like, shit just can't be free, guys. Like, I mean, it happens. Like, we're going to complain about it, but at the same time, like, this is how it works.
The thing that annoys me about ads is Facebook. Like, you scroll through, 2 of the posts are from friends, and the third one's sponsored on your timeline, and people don't realize it. But if you actually pay attention, it's like every third post is a sponsored ad now. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, yeah.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
It's aggressive.
I get it. They got to pay for stuff. You know, it's a billion-dollar company. So.
I'm sure they paid off their servers a decade ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it's actually crazy. So like, I started deleting stuff on my phone a little bit to clear up some space because I don't want to, pay extra for storage right now.
Yeah.
It's like at a certain point you're set to start throwing stuff away, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, dude, how packed are those servers now?
Yeah.
Because nobody deletes shit.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
Like never ever.
No, we'll just sell you some cloud servers space now too, so you can have extra shit stored.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
Yep.
So then, is there much hope to having a track? Okay, I'm curious. What was your plan with Morgan's Motorplex? Like, what kind of track or road course was it going to be?
Something tight and technical. I didn't want something like Brainerd. I wanted something half the size.
So you didn't want to necessarily compete or step on toes then?
Right. So I didn't want to go after the SCCA stuff, the Trans Am Cup. I didn't want Formula 4. I didn't want any of that stuff. I wanted something where if you had a Corvette in your garage, you could come out on Saturday.
So like a 1.5 mile long course?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically the research center.
Yeah.
If I could buy that, that would be... Yep.
Well, is that something that you're presenting in some of your pitches too? Like, if I have a tight and technical course, nobody's really going to be hitting, 7,000 RPM.
As soon as you say racetrack, the general public thinks dirt circle track.
Yeah.
Because that's what they associate with. Yep. So like everybody at, not everybody, but a majority of the people at Sauk Rapids, because we have a dirt circle track out close to where that was at. So that location was great because we had the dirt circle track to the north and an airport to the south. Airports don't have to abide by noise ordinances. So if you could be close to them, you can't really make an argument. You guys are too loud when you got a jet taking off,
Right. Can you buy up an old dirt circle track? Would they technically fall under not having to have those rules? And
you have to reapply for a conditional use permit when you purchase a new property. So if the city didn't want it and you go to the dirt track in Sauk Rapids is still dealing with pushback on that. Mm-hmm. You guys can't host races on Friday or Sunday or something like that. Well, what happened to the last owner that did it for the last 10 years? Well, they never did that. So they had to bust out like old promotional flyers that they'd mail out to say, these are the events that they hosted, because nobody dates anything anymore. Like you could show the results with the dates on it, but you have to have promotional proof as well. So
I hope you understand that when this goes live, especially once I get to the highlights, you're going to get the most signatures ever.
You think so? We don't even have that. What do you want to call it? We don't have that, what is it called? Where you sign it? Petition. We don't have that petition going on anymore. But it's just, like I've talked to Rick at Grove Creek, and he goes, it's not like you could just post the track on Facebook and sell it.
Right.
You're going to have to find somebody that's interested in buying it and looking after it and taking care of it. But like his land that's set up, it's great because it's out in the middle of nowhere in Grove Creek, but the drag strip is literally diagonal across the property lines. So you got a square box, but his track is, so do you build a track to the north, and then where do the cars park on the south? Do you do dirt on the south and track on the north? If you did dirt, you got to worry about dust getting on the track. Do you keep the drag strip? Do you scrap it and make it, part of the front stretch like Brainerd? So there's a bunch of different combinations. I think our best bet would be to ask the question, who owns the research center, and kind of going around that route. So I've asked. It's difficult because the state owns it, but I do have a meeting with them on the 4th to figure out. I just asked them, called them, said, hey, who owns this? Would you guys ever be interested in selling it? And then I got a call back saying, well, let's talk about it. Let's see what you got.
It would be actually, because what you could do is then still let them use it for their research purposes,
Monday
right?
through Friday.
Yeah. Be like, hey, it's cool. Let's work out a deal.
I'm not interested on that.
Yeah.
I want the weekend stuff. But
yeah, absolutely.
The difficult part is they also have politics. So you have to be a government employee in order to oversee who's renting it on the weekend. So we have to have a babysitter. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was $250 for every 15 minutes past 5 he had to stay.
Yes.
So we had to get out of there at like 4:30, so we didn't even get close to that 5. The other thing about it is it's government owned, so it would have to go to auction legally in order for them to sell it. So, yeah.
Red tape.
So
Freaking
much of it.
government.
Politics.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what that facility would be worth or what you would have to buy it for?
So I had a meeting with them in November for like our closeout. Hey, what worked, what didn't work? What do you want to see for improvements for Morgan's Motorplex towards your event?
How'd that go?
It went good. They got a new director in there. First time I met him was in March of 2023, and then I met him again in November because I was over in Wisconsin the whole time. So my volunteer group had to deal with the face-to-face stuff. Super nice guy, super knowledgeable, getting older towards retirement, so they might be looking for a new director again, but I don't know what their future plans are. I'm just speculating, but it went good. I asked the question, how much would it cost if somebody wanted to buy this? And he goes, well, we had an adjuster show up and adjusted everything, and they're saying that we should charge more than what we already charge now for you guys to be able to run on the weekends. I said, I'm out. Like, I can't charge more for this participants because we're already twice as much as other autocross areas, other autocross clubs in the area. And granted, we don't make it work and stand out there for 12 hours, but I can't justify spending $100 to run 6 runs and be out. You know what I mean? It's like you pay for a hockey game and they only play 1 period. Like, would you still go, for 20 minutes of entertainment? So it's that. But he said that our rent won't go up, but it's not going to go any lower. And this year was, this year was difficult to break even because their insurance requirements are $2 million per occurrence instead of 1. So we had to double up our insurance policy. And
Do you do that through Haggerty?
K&K.
K&K. I think that's a local one, right?
Nope.
No.
Out of Indiana.
Okay.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm
They
sure.
suck. I just got a bill for an event that we hosted in July of 2022.
Oh, they're slow on bills?
No, here's a past due invoice. And I'm like, well, for what? Like, this is the first notice that I've gotten in a year and a half. Oh, well, we looked through our bank records and you hosted an event on this day. So I had to actually go and look to see if we hosted an event. And I'm like, there's no point in paying this because it's a year and a half past. Granted, it's only $200, but it's $200.
That's annoying still.
Yeah. Yep. And their communication back and forth just sucks. And you can't renew it until your renewal. So, like, I can't get prices for 2024 until April, which our season starts in April. So I don't know what our insurance costs are going to be. How do you budget?
That's so lame.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. It sounds like somebody needs to reach out to Matt Nelson.
He's the one that referred me to K&K.
Oh, really?
Yep. So I reached out to Matt when we first started doing it, and he goes, all of my brokers won't cover autocross, but try K&K. And then he got me in there. My insurance or my contact there went to a parent company of there last year, and the replacements. It's not just me either.
Well, you're gonna run into that same problem when your research facility guy decides to retire or do whatever. That's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yep.
So much red tape. I'm just gonna stick to street racing, guys. How about that? You freaking
cheaper.
Karens.
It's cheaper.
How many times do you want to just throw in the towel and say fuck it?
With looking for land or hosting autocross?
The hosting autocross.
I mean, the background noise, it takes a little bit of time, but it's not too difficult. It's the volunteers that really deliver for me. So, I mean, without them, I wouldn't be doing autocross. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, especially with me being in Wisconsin. So,
Are you going to be back on this side this year, or are you going to be back in Wisconsin?
I don't know yet. Well, I know, but we have a meeting after the new year to discuss because I had some requests to see if I could get those.
Requests for the Wisconsin events and stuff? Okay.
Yep. So managing the track, just, hey, can I go home Monday? Can I go home Sunday night and be back Friday? So I could spend some time at the house. Because this year, kept the house. Amanda and the girls lived in the house, but I got an apartment in Wisconsin. I lived over there. So I didn't really get to come back. The only time I came back to Minnesota for anything, for an autocross event, was Rochester. Just because I wanted to make sure that one went good. Because they've been at the research center.
Plus, you're not like... That's easier than St. Cloud, right? Like, that should have just been almost a shoot over on 90, wasn't it, to Rochester?
I am on the very east side over by Green Bay. So I just take 29, and then it brings me into 94.
Yeah.
So shout out to Agave. But yeah.
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 Well, next time you're stopping at Agave, you got to let me know, man. I live in Hudson, so.
Yeah. No, I usually eat that on the way through. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I make it a point. So,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, every time I come back, it's like it's always at 2 a.m. whenever I come back from out of state, but
Yep.
it's perfect. It's like
Yeah.
right there, right? And you know, if you're really hungry, you can just stop at exit 4 instead of exit 1. But,
Yeah. Yep.
I listened to your episode with Paul's on
Yeah.
his podcast too.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
That was a
Yep.
good one.
Yep.
I didn't see. You know, I gotta confess. I think I've only watched like I don't know if I even watched any of Paul's. Surprisingly,
He had some good ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
he has some great guests on.
Yeah.
I know I saw that, but again, it's just I can't remember what I was doing at the time.
You got to get him out here on this one.
That's the goal. We've been
Yeah,
talking
we're-
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember what our discussion. I think we're gonna try to get him on in New Year. Oh yeah, we have to because after Doug later tonight, these guys are closed all of next week. So then it'll be into the New Year.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing a double header
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Because apparently people need days off. Okay. But yeah, jokes aside then. So I want to talk more about the drifting stuff. I'm trying to think what angle I want to take on this. You could pick up the Corvette too, right? Is that
I
gonna
did.
be
I got a
drift car?
C6. Yep.
Is that going to be a drift car or what's going on there?
That is a full blown drift car. It is a missile.
Put an angle kit on it now. It's
Angle
a drift
kit,
car, right?
Yeah, it's an angle kit. The only thing I don't have is a handbrake. So everything that I'm doing right now is without a handbrake. So
And
not
that's
a requirement.
Stingray or what?
Nope. Just a base C6, salvage titled. So can't drive it on the street. It's fun to go to the gas station because the local cops know who I am, so they don't mess with me or anything like that. They just know I'm going to get gas and coming right back. So
No, you have salvage title. You should still be able to get.
it's a non-titled. So it's difficult because I live in Minnesota. My driver's license in Minnesota, and the salvage title is in Indiana. But I've never went and checked at the Wisconsin DMV to see if I could do it. I think you have to get an inspection if you go to Wisconsin.
So I happen to know a little bit about this. I
Okay.
just had it done on a GT500 that I have.
Okay.
So I bought it salvaged.
Yep.
It went from an auction to the broker to me.
Okay.
And I brought it here to Wisconsin. All you do is you go to apply for your title. They'll give you a title right away, and then you schedule your inspection. Then you can do everything you want to the car. Then you schedule your inspection, which goes out quite a ways.
Yep.
Then you go there, and somebody from the state police will come and
Yep.
inspect your vehicle. It's usually at a service center. They throw it on a lift. They take it up, make sure it's all good and safe for the road. And then they take your title that they gave you. It's like you just borrow a title for a little bit, just saying that it's in your name, you own the vehicle. They take that title back, and then
Yep.
you get your previously titled
I don't
or
think
previous salvage title thing. It just
Is
has
it
a little
still
mark on
salvage?
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's technically you have full blown title. Drive it on the road, do
Yep.
whatever you want, but it'll say in a small print on the bottom, previously salvage in whatever state it came from.
And
I
that's
wonder
the
if I could
whiteout
do
ink
that.
is for.
Yeah. I wonder if I could do that in Wisconsin or if it's Minnesota.
So
'cause
that my experience is I live in Hudson,
Yep.
so my experience was in
I
Wisconsin.
wonder what Minnesota would
Usually
do.
Minnesota makes everything more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think Indiana is one of those title washing states. So you could maybe, if you went back to Indiana, just titled it there and then brought it back over here and made just. But yeah.
I don't think it'd pass.
Hold on. Title washing?
So there's some states that if you have a salvage vehicle, when you title it with them, they don't really give a shit. As long as the car is cool and good and fixed, they don't care if it had previous salvage. So it'll come back to you as a clean title without. Now Carfax is a different story because if somebody wants to look up the history, like mine, if you Google the VIN number, it literally shows you all of the pictures from the auction. So you see what the car used to look like. Same thing with that, but you technically get a title back that doesn't say salvage. So if you didn't do your research, your title's been washed.
Interesting. But at the end of the day, it will show up on a Carfax. still.
Yeah, you on a Carfax
Seems
if it's
kind
been.
of sneaky.
Yeah, and I think it's like Montana. I thought Indiana was one of them. There's a couple of them that do
Okay.
that.
Maybe. I don't have an interest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing that, you're kind of
Yeah.
a dick. But
Yeah, I would. I mean, I know what it was. It's going to stay at the track.
Yeah.
Essentially, I just drive it on the street to go and get gas and come back. So, yeah.
So then, are you planning to attend a lot of events next year? Or are you planning to just run them? Like, well, hold on. If you're running the actual event, when are you going to drift it then?
Monday through Friday.
I've seen you out
After
there.
work.
There's like nobody around. Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Everybody asks, how come you don't drift with us on the weekend? I'm like, I hate waiting in line. What do you mean? And I'm like, Monday night, like after 5 o'clock when the track shut down, I could rip as many as I want and
Yeah.
not get in line. If I spin out on track, I could drive back on track to the start line and go again. So my seat time has been exponentially better because I don't have to wait in line. I could do it Monday through Friday as long as, everything's taken care of at the track. So
How are you doing?
I've been, so not to brag, but I've been told. So when I first started, I did the practice pad, so I did some Facebook Lives, and I did those so people could comment, hey, do this. And I got a lot of good feedback. Adam Billing, shout out to you, man. I tried doing my first figure 8, and he goes, blip the throttle when you transition because it'll shift that weight to the back, so you won't over rotate when you go to drift the second part of your figure 8. So I started doing that, and I started to learn how to do that stuff, and then went out to the road course at season closer. Justin from Canada showed up about 2:30, and nobody else was out there. I'm like, hey, hop in the car, let me give you a ride, and we'll see how this goes. And I linked intermediate. I've never been on advanced, but I linked intermediate altogether, and he goes, your driving ability is now like if somebody just started out, they're at year 3. So I've gained 3 years of knowledge because I've been able to run out there Monday through Friday. So I have the best playground to learn on.
Yeah.
But it's also a handicap or a crutch too to learn on one track because that's all you're going to be used to. So like if you travel a bunch, and say I go to GLD or Drift Indy and stuff like that, Appalachians, I'm going to learn a lot more experience. But for having Chano as a test track is amazing.
I mean, I agree with that, but at the same time, you're picking up skills that are even more crucial.
You're learning how to move the car like it should move.
I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's something that really intrigues me, and I'd love to learn drifting because it looks like a good friggin' time, man.
I was against it 100%.
Really?
I hated it because I knew. So when I get into something, I follow it to the nth degree.
Yep.
Just, all right, this is what I got to do, and I got to see it through, because I need that closer. So drifting, I always did autocross, like the truck with Gramps, figuring that out and seeing what worked, what didn't work, and all that fun stuff. And then going into drifting, I still have my autocross background into it. So I gave a couple people rides, and they're like, that's the fastest I've went through while drifting. So it feels like I'm autocrossing, but drifting at the same time. So they're more like a slow, elegant dance, like a square dance almost, where I'm wrestling a tiger while getting pepper sprayed. Like that's what it feels like. Just trying to go as fast as as possibly can, following the drive line and the apex and all that fun stuff. So I have to learn not to have it so gripped up so I could actually slide a lot better. Because right now it's 100% throttle or not at all. So yeah, learning, but a C6 base car is not the car to learn on. So get a 350Z or a 240, something slow. Start with low horsepower and then work your way up because that way you'll get more comfortable. I started at the C6 just because I got a deal on one. Yep. And just kind of go from there.
You see a lot of Fox bodies? I heard they were pretty good for that too.
I want to say there's probably 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of C6s, but keep in mind, like US Air, they're more, the events that they host, there's some beginners, but more of them are advanced drivers.
Okay.
Yep. So... yeah. Most people starting out are going to parking lot events and stuff like that just because there's more runoff. It's more forgiving. So
I've been practicing in my truck in the winter.
That helped. Yeah. That honestly, that's where I learned how to, kick it sideways.
Yeah.
Same mentality, give it some gas, get the rear wheel spinning, and then when you need to straighten out, let off the gas and counter steer. But that angle kit saves me a ton. So that's a lot of...
You say that's a better upgrade over handbrake first then?
Seat is your biggest upgrade. Yep.
Yeah, we've heard that before. Like we had Dylan Pride on early on in the podcast days. I think it was one of the first highlights that we had too. But that was the biggest thing is like get a seat. Who cares about all these extra, angles?
You don't need them.
Yeah, get good first. Like, I learned how to drift in my fucking all-wheel drive Charger in the winter.
That's different. Yeah,
it's very different. I get it, 100%. But 1000%.
No, just all-wheel drive is like a sidewinder.
Oh yeah,
because you're looking out the window and you're still going that way. So
it was so fun. Well, it's also, I think it was a 70-30 split on those, and it was never 50-50 like a Subaru. But like when you brought up like blipping the throttle to transition, I taught that to myself, and it just brought back a core memory. It's like because it'll be easier to. Transition. Like I was doing everything, man. I missed that freaking Charger. It was so stupid, but I miss it.
So first time I slid all-wheel drive was a 3000 GT. I hated drifting all-wheel drive just because you let off the gas, it doesn't straighten out. You're just continually going sideways, and it's like, oh god, here we go. So
do you want your diff locked when you're drifting, or is limited slips something that you're using normally, or?
So mine's a torque tube, so it's locked the whole time.
Okay.
I think you want a full diff lock. Yeah, everybody welds their diff.
Okay,
when
that's
they're
what I kind of
drifting.
figured.
Yep.
If you're doing that,
Yep.
even if you were using limited slip, you would have to get a turn. You would burn that out pretty damn quick anyway.
Yep. So you want both wheels rotating,
Okay.
and it's a lot easier to skate. So like the BMW doesn't have, and that's what I was starting with, and I'm like, this isn't working. It works one way, but it doesn't work the other way.
Yeah.
So that and had 130 horsepower in the BMW. So but yeah.
No, I'm excited for you to get into that. It's such a fast growing scene. I guess are you guys getting enough ticket sales out there?
The mentality, there is such a big gap in between mentality between autocrossers and drifters. So like autocrossing, you'll pay $35 or $70 or whatever. Drifters will pay $175 for the whole day, and somebody like doors your vehicle. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome," and they'll give each other hugs and high fives. Whereas autocross, if you door somebody, you're fist fighting and, kind of, what the hell are you doing? So it's a very different mentality in between those two. At Shawano, I don't host any drifting events. So the track is really set up well where a club can come in, rent the track, and run their own event. That's the best part. I don't have to have corner workers. I don't have to have volunteers run anything. I have to have 3 people, 2 for registration and 1 in case something happens. That's it. So that's the bread and butter. That's the easy part.
Is there anything on the horizon of you guys hosting events then?
We did a couple test and tune drifting where it was kind of just us. We had one guy at grid, and then we'd change the course layout every 2-3 hours. Just kind of have a fun day, but it was every Thursday, so we get maybe 10 cars out there. Very manageable for 3 people, So this year we want to book out with clubs because that's the easier stuff. We might do like an all-female day if we don't have clubs rent all of the weekends. We might do like a one-on-one day, an all-female drift day. It's just stuff like that. So, yeah. But we've done test and tunes. We did an event called Groundskeeper's Nightmare where we'd change the course every 3 hours, and then you're driving a different track every time. So
that's cool.
Are you reaching out to clubs then, or do clubs reach out to you, or what is it?
Both? It's both. Yep.
Are you did you manage to get any like new clubs involved?
Yes, this year. Even last year. So 2023. Adam Billings runs Daily Drift Competition Series. So that is like a Formula D format, top 32, Sweet 16, all that stuff. So they practiced from 9 until 1, broke for lunch, and then there was competition from 2 to 5. But he hosted 4 different events there. We had Track Day Direct host an event called Brew City Banger because the Milwaukee location didn't work for them. So they came out to Shawano. And then we had a couple other events come out. Different clubs. This year we got a lot of different clubs reaching out because we just have a flat rate fee. So we charge them a flat rate fee. If you want our insurance, this is what our insurance costs, and then the track will collect spectators.
Okay, interesting. And then how's that compared to other tracks? Is it based on how many people you have?
So tracks. So when we were reaching out, so like, Black Hawk Farms over in Illinois, I think it is.
Yep.
We reached out to them to host the autocross event there. I think it was like 22,000 or no, that's Road America. I want to say it was like maybe 10 to 15,000.
That's about right. I think I reached out to them for the rally too.
Yeah. Yep. So they supply the corner workers, and it was just a flat rate fee. Here you go. So yeah.
But other tracks typically so what's the alternative to a flat rate fee? Is it that like where like if you have 20 cars you pay this, 50 cars you pay this?
Or more of a driver split. So club say the club charges $200, the track would take 50%. The club kept 50% of their driver registrations. But I don't like doing that because then the track is reliant on the club's promotion.
Yes.
Say they only get 5 drivers.
Right.
You're out that. So this is a guarantee. Hey, the track's going to be all right. This is a flat rate fee. The club gets to choose how much they want to charge.
Interesting. Are you able to disclose what the cost is, like to rent? Is it Shawano? I fucking keep
Shawano.
Shawano. Okay.
Yeah, Shawano.
Are you able to
Yeah,
disclose
you've
that?
listed it on
Yeah, yep.
Facebook.
So
and
it's
stuff,
$3,500
Oh,
for the
wow.
track. Yep. And then that, so $3,500 just covers the track. There's no EMS. There's no tow truck. There's nothing like that. No corner workers. I have one person running registration, and then they sell candy, pop, and deal with wristbands. The track will take the spectator fees, and then you as a club, say you're an event promoter, say 50 people are coming, you could charge them $100, so you get $5,000. You made $1,500, right? So, but if you need our insurance, it's an additional $1,500. So it's $5,000 for the day. So then say you need 75 people at $100 for 7,500, you just made 250.
Which again, like you said, people are willing to pay $1.75.
Yep.
I like it. It's a little bit of a cult. Like even Trey was talking about this. Like drifting is just so much more chill.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot less drama in that whole scene. It seems like, I don't know if it's vape pens or what, but like
they just like
yeah,
smoke
like that.
either
They're
way.
coughing.
Yeah. It's natural. It's natural. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but every drifter we've had on has been super chill. Like even in the comment sections when I post highlights of drift stuff, occasionally you get like one or two dicks, but the nice to dick ratio is much better when it comes to the comment sections on my drifting content.
Yeah. I mean, it's emo kids, it's skaters, it's, you know,
It's not a
that
phase.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but they all have a respect for each other. So like autocross, they have a respect, but like the drifting community is so supportive. I had no idea. Like going over to Shawano really opened my eyes towards the drifting community as opposed to being in the drift community and then going to Shawano. So I got firsthand experience. Of course, they might treat me different because I'm the operations manager at the track instead of just some schmuck walking around.
I don't know how many people know that though.
They do.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, there was people on my own fucking rally that did not know who I was.
Really?
You got to be the face, man.
Well, yeah, Braxton was here. Well, I was the face for 80% of people, but they're like, Braxton's over here. He's like, do I know you? And he was
Oh, yeah, I remember that now, yeah.
And he was on Team
funny.
Stance Out 5 years ago. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like, it happens. Like, because especially if there's multiple people in charge.
Yep.
Because, like, I mean, do people see your face at Shawano?
Oh, every time they go through the door. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yep. So everybody has to come in and get a wristband, and I'm usually in registration.
Okay, that's probably why then. Because, like, you're pretty good about that, too.
If they have an issue, they come to me, and I want that, you know, that's my job, you know, so I don't want them going to another employee. They get told something different. There was a conflict at one of our autocross events where someone went and asked one of the registration volunteers what to do because he missed his time slot. So he said, go run in 3 runs back to back to back, which wasn't the right call because that person now has increased brake temps, tire temps compared to everybody else. And he gets to run them back to back to back, which is an unfair advantage instead of waiting in line.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, what is this guy doing? You know, so it was kind of one of those, the volunteer wasn't in the wrong because he didn't know what the decision should have been, but he made the decision. And then that person went and executed what he was told from a volunteer. You got to have one point of contact. That's my biggest thing. Because and it can't be a mom and dad situation where you go and ask mom, you didn't like the answer, you go and ask dad, he says the right thing.
Right.
Yep. There's got to be one person. So
That was one thing that we ran into when me and Doug did Venom Rally back in the day. You were doing so good. You even out the coughs. They just started coming out. I made you laugh too hard.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah, that would happen all the time. So like
Yep.
that's one of the reasons I liked running the rally on my own, like, you know, just as a single owner, because again, the calls were do or die, but at least there was one call. There was no confusion for it. So yeah, I completely understand that.
And you don't have to so I did construction management. I still do. You have to make a decision based off of the information you were given at the time. Yes. And if you have somebody else looking back at your decision, the information you know now wasn't relevant 5 minutes ago.
Correct.
So you can't judge me on that. That's the biggest thing. And it sounds selfish, but if you want it to succeed, it's because of you. But if it fails, it's also because of you.
Yes.
You're the only one that's responsible for that. I get that.
Did
I
you ever
totally
watch
understand.
the movie Sully?
Yes. With the plane? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, so how have you as well?
Yep.
Like, so for people that haven't seen it, basically what it is this is the when he landed the plane into Hudson or whatever, and they were, you know, doing like these court trials or whatever, trying to basically get him on, did he make the right decision? So then they compared it to like a simulator or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're like, oh, well, the simulator made the right decision. But the other thing is they went back and it's like, well, when did he have the information?
Right.
So once they implemented, I think it was like, what?
10 minutes.
Was it 10? I thought was it 10 minutes? I thought it was like 30 seconds or something.
I want to say it was 10. No, you're right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so once they implemented that variable of, hey, well, you have to allot 20, 30 seconds for decision making, the conversations that happen, and once they threw that into the computer, they're like, well, the computer just fucking crashed the plane.
Yeah.
Sully didn't because he thought of the right thing. So, yeah, that was a super, super cool movie.
Or how many times did they have to do it before they pulled it off?
Yes.
I think it was 36 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Just something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that movie again. It was a really, really good movie. But yeah, like you said, it's like just, you have to have that time for decision making.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we covered a little bit about your drifting, a little bit about the autocross. I want to talk Gramps.
Oof.
I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you about that too.
He's a Ford guy, so we have to talk Gramps.
That's fine. Yeah. What do you want to know?
What the fuck?
Is it gone?
It's gone.
Okay.
It's in Oklahoma.
When did it get sold?
April.
Was that
This
an
year.
auction?
No.
No, it was sold.
So I went to Mecum, flew down to Florida. Mecum, I don't know how bad you want to get into it.
I talked to you about Mecum because I was going to
hot.
go down there. I was thinking
You
about
were
hauling
going to
it.
transport
Yeah.
it. I was hot. I was livid, and it was just like, oh, you were told one thing, and another thing was executed. And it's like, what did I pay for, So let's get into it. Mecum contacted them, said, hey, I got this 100% custom truck. Can I list it on there? Yep, blah, blah, blah. What do you want? And I said, well, I want it to go in front of the biggest audience. So Saturday. All right, we'll give you the catalog special, blah, blah, blah. All right, it'll go across the block in front of thousands of people. Okay, sounds good. So flew down there just to experience it on my own. Luckily, had a couple people that were down there just randomly that showed up, and they're like, hey, can we sneak over there and, join you? I'm like, sure, it's just me down here. So we were there at about 4 or 5 o'clock. Some of the custom stuff was going through. We were lot number 274. So they don't tell you your lot number when you sign, and then they assign you a random lot number when you look online. So like that first week we were in the middle. So I'm like, all right, sweet. It's going to go across maybe noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever. And then they come out with the full catalog. We were fifth to last for Saturday. So I was like, sweet. All right. Maybe I hated being last because my superstition was if you wanted something, you already purchased it. And you wouldn't have
getting towards the end, you blew your wad already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So unless you were holding out for that, so it's kind of a 22. Do you save the best for last to keep people in their seats, or do you just put it at the back because you don't think it's going to sell, so you have all the stuff in front of it where people can buy it at prime time? So 8, 9 o'clock started rolling around. The truck didn't cross the block until 10 o'clock. It was January in Florida. I think it was 40 degrees, which is freezing for them. So
10 o'clock p.m.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep. So live coverage was off already. I think they stopped at 9. And then, so no live coverage. There was online auction stuff. And then I think there was maybe 50 people in the building at 10 o'clock because the Florida hockey team, I think, was in the playoffs at the time.
Oh, my
They had a game Friday night. So they went to that. Everybody was at the bars watching something. There was 50 people in that building when it crossed.
As opposed to how many were on at noon.
Oh,
The place was packed. I went there just for fun to go hang out. It was crazy.
Yep.
Like thousands of people.
At least.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole thing was packed. So that left a sour taste in my mouth. And then...
So then, were you out of pocket on anything there then?
So I had to pay for the freight, and then I had to pay for the spotlight. So like the buy-in fee or whatever it was. I forgot what it was.
So all said and done, a few $1,000s.
Sure. Yep. I think freight was $3,500, and then the spotlight was $15,000. So $5,000.
All that to basically... How does Mecum work?
Mecum takes 10% of what it's sold for from the buyer and 10% from the seller.
Okay.
So it goes for $100,000. Mecum takes 20. You get 90.
Yeah.
Buyer pays 110 or something like that.
And then...
I think.
And then so what happened? It didn't hit reserve or something, or?
I had a reserve on it for I think 150. The highest I got was $100,000.
Okay.
And I said no, it's not worth it. So brought it home, and then I found out about Shano. And then I knew I was going to move over there. So I moved over there, and then April came by, and I'm like, you know what? The truck's just sitting in the garage. The girls are probably, nothing against them, but something stupid could happen where they scratch it, whatever. Something gets damaged. It's a paperweight right now. So why don't I just reach out to the one person that contacted me saying, hey, would you sell it for this? So I reached out to him, Sam, and said, hey, it didn't sell at Mecum. What would you be in? And he offered, I think, 95 or something like that. I'm like, all right, let me think about it. Let me sleep on a night. And then the next morning he said, I'll give you $100,000 for it. I'm like, okay, it's $100,000 that I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I sold it. First thing he did was slapped a supercharger on it.
Nice.
Which was your plan anyway.
No, I just
No?
wanted seat time with it.
Interesting. Okay. What was it making power-wise before the supercharger?
I want to say 400.
Okay, because it was
Just a stock Coyote. Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't have any tuning or anything like that done? I mean, other than, was it just
Nope.
like your control pack, Ford
Yep.
control pack, all that stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Just that. Yep.
interesting. A lot went into that car, man.
A lot of, yeah.
I mean, it was a great story. So, I mean, funny enough, back when I started this podcast, or just before I started this podcast, I had a list of people that I wanted to have on. I want to say it was about 15 or 20 deep. And then this is a list I put together 3 or 4 years ago.
Sure.
You were obviously on that list, and that's when you were in the process of building Gramps.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So,
Dude, I listened to that episode. I was beating my own head against the wall listening to all the shit you had to go through.
With Paul?
No,
Or-
no, when you were on here.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is where you really went into depth on Gramps, I believe, was the
you
last time
were
you
on the podcast.
Oh, you weren't on here? Maybe it was
no.
Paul's then.
It was
I guess
Paul's,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I was about to say, am I having like a lull in my memory now? I'm like, what's in this Jocko?
Yeah, right. A podcast, they're all the same, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people may have listened to Paul's episode, but for those that haven't, do you want to tell us a little bit about the story of Gramps?
Oh,
I can.
yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, I lived probably 300 yards from my grandparents' house. So really good relationship with my grandparents. He always had a 1950 F1 pickup, and then he had a 70 Bronco and like a 60 Beetle or something like that. He always had those 3 vehicles. And then he always had his modern stuff that he would drive around, but he always had those 3. Grandma passed away from cancer, and then they were going to auction off the property and the assets to it, all the cars and stuff. So I said, hey, how much do you want for the blue truck? Because we always chopped wood with it. He'd always take me, and we'd go chop wood out for the wood burning stove in the house. And then he's like, I don't know, $5,000. Sure. It was running, driving, operational. It was rough. It had rust on it and everything like that. But so I bought it, and it stayed in the pull shed for probably 2 years because I had a 68 satellite project that I was working on for a little bit.
Do you still have that?
Nope, sold that too. I'm not cool anymore. So,
Damn.
but yeah,
So when did you buy Gramps?
Gramps I bought probably 2017,
Okay.
2018. I had the Viper at the time too.
Correct. Yes.
Yep. So, yes, bought it then, and then the company I worked for at the time, there was a division in Canada, so I shared a random photo with one of the salespeople up there and said, hey, check this truck out that I found online. And he goes, I could build that. I said, really? He goes, yeah, I got something similar to it. So he sent me his, and I'm like, well, how much would you charge? Oh, it'd probably be 40, 50 grand. I'm like, seems like a deal, like, all right, let's talk about it. So then we came up with this whole, all right, you ship it up here, we'll dismantle it, sandblast it, fix it all up, I'll make it for you for 50 grand. Okay. So I shipped it up there, and I gave him $10,000 down, and then it got dismantled in 3 months, and then things started slowing down progressively because he was sending me daily reports like once a month. Hey, this is our budget, this is what we spent, this is what's left. And then he kind of just stopped after it got dismantled and sandblasted. I'm like, all right. So a couple months go by, and I reach out to him like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, oh, it's just slowing down. And I'm like, all right. He played that song for like 2 years. And I'm like, I sent him, he bought a motor kit for it, like the cradle and everything like that to build the frame. He was going to do a custom frame. And then I sent him $5,000 for that, and then I sent him $5,000 for something else. I want to say wheels and tires or something like that. The suspension for it, so it could be a rolling chassis at that point. I said, well, let me know when it's a rolling chassis. All right. And a couple months go by, and then I was up in Canada with a truck for work, but I didn't have a trailer. So perfect scenario. And I said, all right, well, let me know when it's a rolling chassis. Oh, it's a chassis, and it's a roller. I said, all right, well, I'm going to come and pick it up in a week. Oh, all right. Well, kind of acted surprised, and I'm like, I'm going to pull the project from you because there hasn't been progress on it the way I wanted to see it for the last 2 years.
Because at this point, it's about 2019-ish?
Yeah. Yep. So, something like that. And
was it pre-COVID still?
Yes.
Okay.
So the truck was pretty much completed. Gosh.
We'll get there.
Man. Yeah, it's been a while.
If you're going in and out of Canada at this point, it's pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Another story, but so
you're over there in Canada with a truck. Okay.
I'm over there with a truck, but without a trailer. So I rented a U-Haul trailer. He goes, cancel that. I'll give you the car trailer. just an open deck trailer, and then we'll throw this on there, and I'll let you keep the trailer as a apology for taking 2 years. All right, sounds good. So I pull up, just full of stories on, oh, my flight was delayed, blah, blah, blah. So it's Sunday night at about 9:30. I pull up to his house because that's when he wanted me there because his flight got in. I pull up, and then he starts carrying out the frame like in pieces. Like there's no rolling chassis, there's no suspension, there's no wheels, there's no tires, there's nothing. And it's like, where is all this stuff? Well, if you would have gave me another week or two, I would have had it done. And I'm like, you had 2 years to get this done. Like, whatever. So we get everything done, and I'm like, where are the body panels? Oh, it's at my uncle's. Where's your uncle's? 45 minutes away. Let's go. I'm taking this whole thing from you. Well, it's locked in a padlock in a airplane hangar. I'm like, get a grinder. I don't care. He goes, if you're going to play this game, I have the title with me, and I'll call RCMP, and I'll report it stolen. I know where it's at. Here's the title. It'll match the VIN that's on the dash on the truck. All right. So he gets in his truck, and we go down, and I was on a group chat with about 10 guys, and I said, if I don't reply back every 15 minutes, this is my location, call the cops. Because I have no idea.
Right.
You know, at this point, it's 11 o'clock, and we're going down a dirt road one way kind of thing.
You're in a foreign country. It is Canada, but you're still in a foreign country.
I have a passport, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have pistols in Canada. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so we go there, load it up, and then I brought it all the way home. Literally drove straight to the auto body shop, and I said, how much would you value? I showed him a picture of it. What would you charge from this to this? And each one of them said like $3-4 grand. So I messaged him, and I'm like, hey, there's a discrepancy of like 16 grand in between what I paid you and what services I got. What do you want to do? He goes, I ain't paying you. I'm not paying you anything. Took him to court, ended up settling for, I think, 17 grand. So he ended up paying that over the course of a year. And then I brought it to Patient's Metal Fab. They said, came up with a budget, and then of course budgets go overboard when you order 3-piece rotiform wheels and all that fun stuff. So it got built from them. It took them, I think, a year and a half, maybe 2, might be over. I can't remember at this point, but yeah, got done. Took it on Crown Rally East from Chicago to Tail of the Dragon after driving it around Minnesota for 500 miles just to see, hey, let's put it to the test, see if it works. That was great because you know how Crown is. They got all the McLarens and Ferraris and Lambos, and everybody's like, what are you driving? I'm like, oh, I got that Ford. Oh, that one, like it didn't matter what color it was. They knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So that was fun to go on. And then parked it for the winter, and then the next spring we autocrossed it for a year, and then sold it the following year.
So how was that experience with Patience then?
Awesome. I mean, we would get to a point and it would say, all right, this is option 1, 2, and 3. What do you want to go with? And it was just every little detail, not every little detail. They knew what kind of look that I wanted, but the mind that Gary and I both have was on the same page. So it wasn't like, well, why did you do that? Kind of thing. It was like, yep, that's similar to what I would have done.
That was a good call, yeah.
Yeah, yep. So like when Coy crashed his Lambo up in Brainerd, well, do you want to put a cage in it? And I'm like, I'd look silly if I didn't put a cage in it, at this point. So let's just put a cage in it. And then they came up with that design where they tabbed in the interior panels to the cage, so you didn't see the full bar. You only saw a quarter of it. So that was pretty cool to see. So I would recommend Patience. Yep. Yeah. You get what you pay for. I mean, they charge for what they do, but they will not disappoint you.
Do you want to disclose what you think you were, with all the headaches aside, what you were all into it at?
Keep in mind, like, I had full body wrap on it, full paint. I was close to around 230, 240.
Okay.
Yep. And that's including, like, toes to and from and all the little shit like that. So.
Oh yeah, okay, the menial stuff too.
Yeah,
because you probably were towing that thing weekly.
Well, I mean, it had to go here, and it had to be enclosed because obviously for obvious reasons. But
right.
Yeah, they that team over there is really good at what they do. So they are pretty much a project management team. If they can't do it, they know the people that can, and they'll get you in the contact for them. That's
one of the things I love about the shops around here is that they collaborate.
Yes.
Like, for example, I won't say who, but they'll work with them and they'll go back and forth on this for like huge projects and whatever. So yeah, it's super cool to see that.
Right.
And Patience is kind of like one of the go-tos. I think there's only like 1 or 2 really like good places to take your stuff for cages around here.
Yeah. Yep. So they, I mean, they're a chassis shop too. So first thing, they're like, we could build you a chassis, or you could just order this one from Roadster Shop, and it'd probably be the same price, but they can do the work when we don't have the time right now. So as a chassis shop saying, hey, why don't you just purchase this one instead of us making it? That speaks volumes to me. Plus, I didn't have to pay taxes on it because it wasn't business to business.
Right.
Yep.
That shows that they have your best interest in mind, not
100%.
theirs.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So they do a really good job over there.
I went there with Mo, Boosted Minneapolis.
Yep.
I'm wearing his freaking
yeah.
shirt.
Yeah.
We went over there, and I saw that truck in person, and it was really sweet, dude.
Yeah.
So, and then ultimately, what was the driving force in getting rid of it then?
Money, and if something broke, I had to bring it to patients. I couldn't just say, hey, I got a 1950, I need this kind of thing. So I wanted, like, that was a big reason why I chose the Viper, because I lived 10 minutes from a Viper dealership. Well, not a Viper dealership, but a Dodge dealership that had a Viper Tech. That was a big reason why I bought those instead of like a Porsche. So that's ease of accessibility, and I want something where I could just go into the garage, turn the key, and just drive off with it, not worrying about it.
Yeah.
So,
Where did you source your drivetrain from for Gramps? Do you remember?
LMC truck, maybe?
Okay.
No, it was Powerhouse Motorsports, I think. Does that
Oh,
sound
was
right?
it a crate one, or did you
It
pull
was
out
a
of
crate motor,
it? Okay.
and then it, yeah, I want to say Powerhouse Motorsports or something like that for the drivetrain.
Did you do 6R80? Was it automatic?
It was a PCM 4R70 trans.
Okay.
Yep, so it was a 4-speed, but it had a push-button gear select, paddle shifters.
Oh, cool.
Yep, it was cool.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. I never got to see it in person.
Yeah,
but
no, it was cool. It was
yeah.
loud. It had the side exit exhaust in the cab. Yep, just little throwbacks to the Viper kind of thing.
Yeah.
Same wheel sizes. Yep. So.
Yeah, that was that. I think it was. What was your favorite aspect of that car then, or aspects? The color was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Illusion Blueberry by Prism powder coating. That was a good one. The orange roll bar was a fly by the seat of your pants. Hey, what do you want to do? It was either that or lime green, but I didn't want it to be like a monster theme kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, I was worried people were going to associate it with the Denver Broncos.
I was thinking Blippy, but I have little kids. That blue and orange.
Yep. I'd say my favorite aspect about it was just the conversations that started from it.
It was cool. I mean, it's an open wheel truck,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Rock chips were my nightmare. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you had the PPF and all that stuff too, though, right?
You can't do it on the hinges.
Oh yeah, I suppose. What'd you end up doing for suspension on there?
Yeah, it had a Watts link and a 4-link for the rear. Yep. And then it had strange coilovers.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that thing was rowdy. I think we all kind of miss it. Do you, or are you just?
I miss the Viper more than the truck.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be honest. That thing was my favorite toy.
Why is that?
Just
like, why would you take the Viper over the truck? I mean, you put so much into that freaking truck.
the Viper. I mean, just it had a lot more grip than the truck did.
Fair
I
enough.
was very fast in the Viper. I enjoyed driving it, and I enjoyed giving people rides in it. Whereas the truck, I didn't want to push it past the envelope because I didn't want to have something break. Whereas the Viper, if it broke, I knew I'd be all right, you know. Whereas the
Right.
truck, it's like, holy shit, you just totaled this thing. So
True. There was a lot more at stake.
yeah,
Yeah.
money wise, I mean, it was 3-4 times as much as what the Viper cost. So
Well, because everything's custom.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, I did the
So-
same thing with my GT500. I bought a rebuilt title car because I was like, I won't be scared to beat on this car. I didn't want a $110,000 car that I'd be super scared to fucking drive. You
That's
know
why I
what
got
mean?
the C6 for a drift missile. Like
Yeah.
it's salvage titled. If I stuff it into the wall, I'm not wrecking a decent one.
Right.
Well, nobody's buying a new car from the lot to take it
Well,
drifting.
You'd be surprised.
I don't know. I can't imagine there's many of them out
No.
there.
But if I think I'll get back into the Viper game eventually if
Really?
prices come down realistic.
Would you go into Gen 5 or go back to Gen 4?
I like 4.
That ACR was something. What do those ACRs go for now?
Hmm.
Something absurd?
120, like twice as much as what I bought mine for.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to do the math of when you're talking about you're doing all this stuff when you had the Viper or not. You probably picked that Viper up and did you make some money on it?
No, because
No?
I blew the motor on it at Power Cruise. Yeah.
Oh,
That'll-
that's right. I
That'll bring
forgot
the
about
value
that.
down.
When I had it sold, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I had the Viper, and then I bought it for 60. So I was looking at one at 70. It was white and black. It had a lot less miles on it, and I'm like, well, my price range is around 60. Do you got anything? He goes, I just took a trade in. The person that owned it was from Illinois, like a Verizon Tech or something like that. He had 2 of them, and he traded 2 of them in for a Gen 5. So he goes, I don't even have it listed yet, but I'll sell it to you for 60. It's got 32,000 miles on it, which is high for a Viper. I said, all right. So I bought that and never rode in one before. Didn't know where the window switches was on the console instead of the door. So like
Jeep style, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you locking me in my car right now? Yeah. So I bought it and then drove it literally everywhere. I put so many miles on it. I think I had 58,000 or something like that when the motor finally let go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happened?
I was up at Power Cruise and I was next to a Mustang and I did a second gear pull down the stretch and I'm like, man, that exhaust sounds nasty on that Mustang, like super raspy. And then I got on the gas again and I like the ticking started escalating with the gas and I'm like, oh my God, it's me, you know? So I quick shut it off and, yeah, coasted to where I coasted, and then they towed me off, and then we tried to start it, wouldn't start on its own, so we had to jump it, and it sounded like a John Deere tractor, so I ended up spinning like 2 rod bearings.
They already sound like a John Deere tractor.
Well, it was like a tapper on a John Deere tractor. It was bad, and I'm like, all right. So then it's like, what do we do? Do we put a new motor into it? Got a couple quotes. It was $22,000 for a new motor.
Oof.
Yep. So it's like,
If you just spun a couple rod bearings, that's not like if the block's okay. I mean, you could go rebuild is not.
you would think.
Yeah.
But the dealership wanted to drop a new motor into it, so it was $22,000, and it's like,
Oof.
I don't want to stick a third of the car into something that I put a third of the miles back onto it.
Right.
So I ended up selling it for 41. Yep. So I drove it for 2-3 years, and then sold it for, what is that, $19,000 less than what I bought
That's
it for?
not bad though. If you consider the fact that you blew up a $20,000 motor in it.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So.
And you also got to enjoy it. I mean, 20,000 miles.
I
Yeah,
drove the
absolutely.
piss out of it.
Yeah.
Like
You did.
Yep.
You did.
Took it on. It was a lot of hard miles on it. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, you kind of do like I mentioned earlier in the episode, you kind of do everything from autocross to road course to now drifting.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you see yourself getting more and more into drifting? Would you like to have a road course car back? Would you actually, I mean, would you hold off on the Viper for a while?
See, I've thought about selling the Corvette now and just opening like a simulator cafe.
Yeah.
Just generating revenue during the winter. Because right now I'm at this point in life where it's like my car hobbies are only good for 7 months. I got 5 months of this paperweight sitting in the garage. What am I going to do with it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I'll wait a little bit. Drifting is fun, but I don't see myself like doing it year after year after year. So I want to get back on grip driving.
Does Shano do any winter events?
No, because we are skeptical on what happens to the track. So Road America does winter events, but they only do it in their parking lot. Our concern is that if you do winter events on the track, water is going to run off of the track and go underneath the track and then freeze again.
Yep.
And that's going to blister the asphalt. So,
Is it an asphalt track?
yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I don't want to run the risk of that happening, because if that happens, then you're waiting for
expensive.
asphalt. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So
I'm curious, what does it cost to? So I'm sure you looked into this. Like, if you ended up doing a 1.5 mile road course in St. Cloud or whatever, what would it have cost to build a track? Like, if you got
Millions.
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 Like, we're talking like 1 to 2 or
3.
3.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
3 to 5.
Again, I'm gonna get mixed up stuff here
Go
probably,
ahead.
but you were thinking just do dirt track or something to start with?
Yep. So
Okay.
we were going to start with dirt track, just get the name out there, get the noise, get
Yep.
the approval. And then dirt is obviously cheaper than asphalt. So
Yep.
we'd run dirt like side by side. Everybody bought side by sides during COVID. So it'd be cool to have side by side races like ERX Park does, but on a much smaller scale. So you could just show up, pay $100, go run however long you want to run, on timed, just go have fun kind of thing. And then we could tap into beater cross and Wreckfest stuff,
Yep.
just the fun stuff. And then that would compact the soil underneath where the asphalt track would go.
Interesting. Okay. And then,
Yep.
and then
And it would generate revenue while having the land.
Yeah.
Yep.
interesting. And so then at that point, all you would have to do is pretty much purchase the land, right?
We would purchase a land, and then you would
Work
have to
on
do the dirt.
facilities while you're working on that
Yep.
too.
Yep.
The laboratory.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like my like golden ticket would be like a lobby that you could walk into. You would have simulators, you would have a restaurant seating area, and you would have like decent bathrooms and showers for the drivers. Because like Shawano, if we got a new bathroom facility, that's what it's missing right now, is a decent like bathroom facility. Everybody complains about the ones up in Brainerd being nasty and stuff like that. So it's creature comforts. Obviously, it doesn't generate revenue though.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
That's the biggest thing, you know. So like
showers would be a big thing too.
Showers are nice because we have people spend the night.
Especially if you're gonna do a dirt track, like people are gonna be caked.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
Yep. So
Interesting. Okay. And then, so what were your plans to fund it then?
So we would start with doing like what I want to do now, knowing that the zoning, I want to do it like a country club style. You buy a membership, you get a sticker like a tab on your car, and then you can use that facility. We would use that fund of the memberships to go and start doing upgrades, and that would basically fund itself once we got the dirt track going.
And what was the idea of like a cost to have that tab?
So if we bought the land, for a membership,
Yeah,
we'd have to see how much of the land. Like if you bought 100 acres, it's obviously going to be 800,000 compared to 27 at 240. So it all depended on how much land we bought with it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Because I know some tracks do like country memberships. I recently found out that there's one over on the West Coast where it's like, I think like $100,000 a year or something ridiculous like that.
What's the one in Illinois? Autobahn Country Club?
Yeah. What does that cost?
35, I think, for the initial, and then I think it's 15 for every year after that.
But you
Something
get
like
to
that.
spend all the time you want pretty much.
Yeah,
over
it
there.
comes with a garage, I think, and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
I think.
We were looking at one in Tennessee. They were at PRI advertising, and they were like $100,000 or something like that. But I think you actually get like a condo with a garage in it and stuff like that, like a small living quarters type thing.
Yep.
That would be freaking awesome.
Wolf Creek down on that proposal on 35, they were going to do, that's how they were going to generate their startup. Yep, was memberships. And then same thing with Mankato. They had a driving complex proposal over there because they lost a Viking stadium.
Okay.
That one also didn't go through.
So you're looking at, again, on the high side for land, like $800,000, right?
It all depends.
That's what I was looking
Yeah,
at like at the
where
time.
Yep.
that can be so many factors in that.
Yeah.
So many facts, of course, yeah. But like just a little Mickey Mouse math over here.
Sure.
So you're looking at the land would be a big part of cost. So what's the next biggest cost involved in that?
Equipment.
Equipment being.
You would have to get like a backhoe, not a backhoe, but like a.
I know about hose. I don't.
I would say like a skid loader to form all the dirt, a dozer, and then you would have to get your dirt track. So you could subcontract all that out, so you don't have to purchase all that stuff, but you have to do the upkeep as well. So it would be that. I have a whole like business proposal basically that I built 3 years ago with SESU.
And that's just to get it to a dirt track, correct?
That's just dirt track. Yeah. So I want to say it was right around $2 million.
Just for a dirt track.
Yep.
Wow. Holy shit.
Circle? Oval?
Nope. Road course.
Road course? Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. And that still would have been like, again, roughly a mile and a half.
Yeah. Yep. So the proposal that I did it on was in South Haven. It was right on the other side of the city, which was unfortunate. But you could do so much for sound mitigation now, but everybody wants to know, sound barriers and stuff like that for decibel readings.
What goes into sound mitigation for a racetrack?
I would say you would use a
Walls.
wall or noise deflection because you can't do elimination, right? You're not going to put silencers on everybody's car. That's unrealistic. So you could do noise deflection where you could do like down the highway, you could put those walls that keep the noise within the highway instead of going into the
Like the big
properties.
wooden walls
Yeah,
that they
yep,
have?
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. And then when you're pitching that to the city, like, are you able to show, like, this is how much noise we can reduce with these sorts of walls?
100%. So, and Minnesota doesn't have like a noise decibel, like a limit. So it's kind of free reign.
Is it by city then?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And it's basically just like them being like, that's loud.
Yeah. So like the proposal that we did in Sauk Rapids, it's right off of Highway 23, which is close to Knife River. And they have heavy haulers, like 18-wheeler dirt trucks going down that road. We were 4 decibels louder than what that truck would have been going down the highway.
Wow. And when
It's
you
not that
when you
much.
say 4 decibels louder, what was 4 decibels louder?
I want to say we were at 84 and a semi-truck was at 80.
In what car though?
Jesus. We did a couple testings. We took an average. So we tested everybody in one run group and wrote down what their decibel was, and then we took the average of that. So we had people with Civics, S2000s, Viper, like whatever was in that run group that was at one of the Morgan's Motorplex, and we took it at 50 feet away.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask. And the truck was also 50 feet away, correct?
Yep. Based on the study. Yep. So the paperwork that I found, and I showed them everything. Like, this is the photo of where we took it from. This is what we had. And we had a couple board members come out, and they said, this is not what we thought it was going to be. But...
Well, it's not an NHRA dragster.
No, and that's what everybody associates a racetrack with. Yep. That or oval with open header until 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, when you have a certain lunatic with a 5.0 Mustang that's basically straight pipe, like I get it why people would be against the track.
Yeah.
Don't do a lot of dirt track stuff though with mine.
But again, like what's the main primary concern is like just disturbing the peace, I guess. But most of the time people are, especially when you get to townships like that, people are far enough away.
You would think.
And decibel readings, I think it's like I can't remember if it was. I think it goes down exponentially, I believe.
Yeah.
By every foot.
Yeah.
Or I think it was like whatever. I can't remember what the equation was, but it goes down significantly, like every 10 feet.
100%.
So that's my frustrating thing about it too. It's like because you have this big plot of land, and if you put in the noise restrict, dude, I get so heated when I talk about this with you every single time because
it's a money-making idea that is supportive of the community, but...
Well, especially if you do it in a modern way, right? So, like, again, to bring up Atlanta Motorsports Park again. So I hit up the track, whatever, organizer, operations manager over there. And I asked, like, hey, we want to rent the track, but also, what else do you have here? She's like, oh, well, we got 10 sim rigs over here that are loaded with iRacing. We have these garages here, all this stuff you can rent.
Yep.
And if you incorporate, again, like a sim cafe at a track or whatever, it's just all these different aspects go into being a revenue generator.
Right.
And even then, if, for example, because we're fucking Minnesota and we have winter 6 months of the year, it's like the locals could come on, use the sim racing cafe or whatever. It's like, wouldn't that be a better hobby than, people getting shit-faced on the weekends? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's just so many ways to generate revenue, especially in a small city.
Yeah.
Like that.
People are looking for stuff to do.
Yeah.
That's
well,
it.
and the track part of it doesn't generate a shit ton of revenue, right? Like they don't, or do they? Can they?
What do you mean?
So like your concessions, the other stuff like that, is that bring in?
So like Shano, I always hated it when you went to a sporting event and had to pay $10 for a beer.
Yeah.
When you could buy a bottle, you could buy a 6-pack for 15. Mm-hmm. Like. We don't gouge people for that. So like bottles of water were $1. We were super reasonable and we still made a profit off of what you're not obviously going to lose money on concessions, but
right.
Yeah.
Especially if you have 10,000 people come over the course of a weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
Or I'm curious, how many people do come for these events out there?
Our biggest event is Final Bout. I want to say we had like maybe 6 or 7 different countries represented. So we had people flew in from Dublin, Australia, Japan. Wow. We had 5,000 people between Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yep. So.
And all those people got a bottle of water, but.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like that again, that's revenue, and then 7, 8 events a month. It's something, and of course it covers costs. And I'm curious actually, when you build a track, I'm guessing it's like a multi-year loan.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that typically like a 5 or a 10-year or what? 30?
You could do a 5. So I broke everything out into a 5-year because I wanted to do the 5-year transition between dirt and asphalt. I figured 5 years we would be able to generate enough revenue to pay off the initial loan in the first 5 years, and then we would take that second loan out for the asphalt.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I was looking at doing that when I was in college. Like I was like, all right, do I take all the money out up front? No, you never want to do that.
You're paying interest on all of it. Yep.
The interest was like triple over the course of like however many years. It's like, oh, it goes from this number to this number.
Borrow what you need to get your initial costs out.
Exactly, just borrow by semester or whatever. So I learned that one real quick when I went to Wells Fargo.
Yep.
Interesting. So you basically just need a big money backer to get into it, and then at a certain point you start seeing ROI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It would take a little bit, but yeah.
What other things are you able to use those tracks for? Like we've seen police training, like semi-truck driving training maybe, I don't know.
So the research center does EMS. They do EVOC training for firefighters, EMS. They do police training, and they also have a dirt section that they rent out for the semi-truck drivers. So that's how they generate their revenue. And then they have clubs come in on the weekend that rent out the track. So you could cater to all those things. You could go with carts, you could go with bikes, side by sides, snowmobiles, dirt bikes. You could do all those things if you wanted to on dirt. And then asphalt, I don't know if you'd want to run in the winter during asphalt just because of that popping situation.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to have a dirt course when it's winter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody in the winter circuit is waiting for the lakes to freeze. So they can't do anything from October to January. Unless they're crazy and ice fishing right now. But yeah.
I've got some friends that are out ice fishing.
See?
That's crazy.
It's going to be 50 degrees on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know.
So maybe not. But have you thought about opening a karting facility? Because I know we have Stockholm. It's freaking amazing. It's amazing. If you're in Minnesota, you need to go to Stockholm. I don't care about pro kart, but unfortunately that's all we have this time of year. But have you thought about opening a go-karting facility?
I have.
And?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see the appeal on it. The thing that scares me is MB2 went under.
Yeah.
That was in the cities. So if I opened up something in St. Cloud, it's a catch-22 because St. Cloud really doesn't have any entertainment besides bars. So it's a big college town.
You got some great bars, though.
We do have great bars, and the nightlife is great. But that's it. And that's what makes it great is because there's nothing else to do.
Right.
So if you opened up something like that, plus every college kid is broke, so your population increases between September and May, but the revenue or your average income drops because they're not making income because they're college students. So I don't know if it would survive if it was in St. Cloud, being a go-kart facility and pairing it with that. But I have thought about doing an outdoor go-kart facility and then transferring it. That's how Shano started.
Yeah.
It was a go-kart facility
Really?
that
Okay.
turned into drifting. Yep.
You would never see me in St. Cloud, by the way. Like I'll go up for autocross, but for go-karting, it's tough to make it out to Stockholm. It's hard to convince people to get a group there.
It's hard to plan because of the weather.
That too, yeah.
I remember you had that one that had to cancel or reschedule like 3 times because it was raining.
Yeah, well, I had to cancel go-karting on my South Rally, which, financially worked out for me. But thankfully, otherwise I'd have another year to pay off on my Amex. That's the tough part because I got the call from the track at 8 a.m. in the morning, and they're like, hey, there's no wind. The clouds are still here. It's going to be a whole day for this fucker to dry out.
Oh, it was already wet. Yeah.
Oh, it was soaked. It just wasn't going to happen. If there was sun and wind, then maybe we had a chance to be there by the time I got there. But
the most fun I've ever had karting was during the rain.
Oh, I bet that's...
Who the hell let you do that?
Shano. I did.
Wisconsin, man. Y'all know how to live.
We had a group. I told them we usually don't let carts go out when it's raining. But if you start and it rains, I can't offer you a refund. But if you don't start before it rains, I could offer you a refund. But if you start and then it rains, I can't offer you a refund. So
fair enough.
Take it for what it's worth. We do a practice lap because there's so many course configurations on that track, so everybody knows what the course is. And then we did the parade lap, and then we got everybody to stop line and just downpour like cats and dogs, like tsunami rain. And it's like, holy crap. Well, you guys are in the carts. They're already running. What do you guys want to do? We'll go out. And I said, one of you goes off. We're done. Okay. And they ran around and literally you're sitting on top of the drain plug for the seat. So you're just sitting in a pool of water, and they were soaked head to toe. Even if they had a rain suit on, they were still soaked. But it teaches you a lot about cart control and shifting your weight because you have to steer with the gas and the brake because they're full slicks. So yeah, but they're shooting rooster tails 5 feet in the air. So it's fun. There's no lights on them or nothing, so it's starting to get dark out. And yeah, all right, let's call it a day. All right, that was the most fun we've ever had. So.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome. Do you have any photo or video from that?
No. I left my phone in the scoring tower just because I didn't want to get it wet. But I was soaked head to toe because I was just out there in a t-shirt and shorts. But
that sounds like it's hilariously fun.
Yep. Crown. When we went to Autobahn, Jacob was out there, and I forget his other guys' names out there. But we went to the go-kart track after the big track. And we were out there, and it started sprinkling, and you could tell all right, it's starting to get a little slick. So you go and take that sharp left after the long straight. 3 of them go straight off, and the other 2 in the back, lock them up. All right, baby it around this corner. So it's fun. If you could get out and race during the rain, I highly suggest it. So it's a good time.
If anything helps you hone your drifting skills.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Teaches you a lot about kart Kart management, basically. So I have thought about it, but we also have Summerland in St. Cloud. Those are kind of kiddie karts, but they are going to get a fast track put in, I think, this year. So it'd be competition, basically. So.
Is insurance for something like that a nightmare? Like
for karts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I figured. So when you're renting out a track to people that technically have to bring their own insurance, you can offer a policy, but that policy is probably better than if you have kart, because you're not asking each individual to come in with insurance.
Right. It's an umbrella. So
Yeah.
like the event promoter should be able to cover his event with his insurance.
Right.
Yep. So.
But that's not the case with karts.
Karts, karts you could get, so like Shawano has an umbrella policy for motorsports in general.
Okay.
So it covers karts, cars, bikes, everything like that. Karts, there's NKA, they charge per wristband that you sell for their insurance. Mm-hmm. So say you get a bundle of 100 and you only send back 20, you have to pay insurance for those 80 drivers that you had. It's kind of tricky, but yeah, just little things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Learned a lot about track stuff today. That was our goal.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk a lot of track stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, before we pop the usual 3, do you have anything that you wanted to touch on while you're on here? I know a lot of people. I want people to sign up for Morgan's Motorplex events this year.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed your autocross. You will see me, assuming that I'm not financially fucked. But
I just want to be able to go to the dinner.
Oh,
afterwards.
that's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a good time. You just got to attend once, right, to get invited to
the banquet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a good time at the banquet. Drinks and food provided. And yeah, we have a good time. Do some fun awards and do some serious stuff as well. We got 2 locations locked in right now. We got Rochester and we have Black River Motorsports Park in Superior, which is an oval. So we'll see how that goes. They host autocross there as well, so we're gonna go up there and kind of.
Is that like an oval, like the one that we did at Niagara Falls?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but tighter.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But you would still set it up as like an autocross course?
It's different. Yeah. So it's 2 laps. The way they set it up is first lap you go on a certain set of cones, and then the second lap you go around a second set of cones. So it's a different course every time you go around the oval.
I'm hitting those.
Yeah. Just straight through. Yeah.
That one's as far as going to St. Cloud for me, so I might check that one out.
That one's So we got those 2 locations. I got a meeting on the 4th. I'm anxious to see what that is about, so that's why I haven't really booked anything until after that meeting to see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this next season. There's just so much I want to do, assuming a lot of things go my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully this is a big motorsport year for us. Like me and Dan were talking about maybe doing like Grid Life, like one event, because like it seems like all our friends have a lot of fun with it. But then we talked to Piero, and for me in particular, he's like, yeah, you should probably do a HPD event.
Yep.
Get familiar with that, with being like, because I've never done like a road course where I've been with other people on the track yet.
Oh.
Obviously, you need to learn how to do that.
Go to Brainerd.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the nice thing is, so I'm actually talking to Michael Peterson about who we've had on this podcast before. I'm hoping to have some conversations with Brainerd here soon. Just get familiar with the leadership up there.
Good luck. Yeah.
Well, some things have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll talk about that a little bit more off air. But I like to get familiar with people, do some coaching up there.
Yeah.
Because Michael is a certified instructor or whatever up there. So point being is we want to do a lot more track stuff, and we're hoping to do some podcasts up there.
Yeah.
Somewhat soonish, beginning of the season. But nonetheless, your boys got to learn.
Yeah. Yep. I would say if you could sign up for the high performance driving school or whatever they call it up there, I learned so much because I grew up on Gran Turismo. Like that was that's what got me into road course, like that game. But I learned so much from just taking that high performance school that you can't transfer from karts because I'd always go into the corner and then brake while I'm cornering, whereas you want to come into the corner, brake while you're straight, and then hard turn in, let off of the brake, let that car roll around the corner. So
Right.
Unless you're a pro and you get into trail braking.
yeah.
Which is me.
I'll let Priero talk about that.
Yeah.
Grid Life is at Road America this year, so that's a close one for you guys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Dan will be far more likely to be able to do it than I have, just because he has.
I just signed up for the SCCA. I just did a membership. I think I said that right. I'm thinking about doing the Optima one at Road America.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
Ellsworths. I don't know if you know who those guys are. The Viper guys.
They were out at Autocross when the day I went. Yeah.
And they were at PRI. Yep. Those would be a good ones to hook up with while you're out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Very knowledgeable. Yep.
Cool.
Those guys know how to drive.
Well, a driving school is on for the beginning of this season. I'm definitely gonna hit that up.
Yep. You'll learn a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Just take it all in.
Yeah. I just want to get gooder.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude. Well, you want to pop to the final 3?
Sure. That I can't do that part of my job as a mechanic.
Sure, yeah. We'll see. I haven't reached out to the agency yet.
It's on the help wanted.
Yeah, I want to be like Sean, a free agent here pretty soon.
You're gonna join Sean in the unemployment line.
Yeah. All right. At the end of every episode here, we like to ask our guest a question. We want 3 cars from you. Okay. You have unlimited budget, swaps, builds, whatever. You're obviously you know that field also. So we want a track car, a daily driver, and a show car.
Unlimited imagination. Don't fuck that up.
So I thought about this for like the last 4 days, and like track car, I would love an ACR Viper, like a Gen 4 or Gen 5.
You gotta choose one.
I would say Gen 4, just because it's familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show car, I always liked the old Continentals on bags with the suicide doors, like all murdered out, right?
I actually am mad that I didn't pick that last time I was here, too. I thought about it afterwards. Yep. I'm like, that is one of my all-time, I want one of those real
That's
bad.
what I want. So that would be my show car.
Convertible or hardtop?
Hardtop.
Yeah.
I hate I don't have the hair for it. So yeah. I'll be honest. They're probably cheaper convertible, but I'll go with the hardtop. And then daily, my knowledge of dailies is very little. Honestly, I've had the BMW for the last 7 or 8 years, so I don't have a computer screen in my car. You know, it's I would say, gosh, almost like an Aston Martin, like a just because it's cool, classy, hand built. You know, it's not a Viper, so it's not high performance, but it's still hand built. Yeah. So I would go with like a DB9 or 11. I got to ride an 11 one time, so
like a newer one.
Yep.
Okay.
So
interesting. That's the same as the AMG GTs. So you would take the Aston instead.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
I was like, my dad's GTR.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that would almost be like a track car, though.
The GTR. Yeah, it'd be more towards that. I mean, it's great. It's a great cruiser.
You've ridden them both. How is that comparable? I've heard those are like the new Vipers, like a modern Viper.
Oh yeah. They share some similarities for sure. Okay. It's the German Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that. The thing is that okay. So the AMG GTRs, they have a hot V setup. Basically, the turbo's right there.
Yep.
So there's no turbo lag. I mean, it's almost like it's naturally aspirated. I mean, it isn't, but like there's like no lag.
Yep.
So and same thing with the Vipers. They're naturally aspirated, so there's no turbo lag.
Right.
I don't know. I'd have to drive a Viper to get a feel for it. I have driven a Viper to park it. That was AJ's Gen 5 ACR.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I had to take off my shoes to fucking drive that one.
Hit his rear defrost next time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he'd have a panic attack.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to drive one to fully understand it. But yeah, it's a monster. I mean, it's a track monster.
Yep.
So I don't know. But so yeah, back to the question: would you take an AMG GT or an Aston?
I'd probably take the AMG. Yeah. I would do that. If I could meet one builder, it would be Christian Koenigsegg.
Okay.
They had a hypercar. I think it was on Netflix or something like that. But just like everything you said was, I would like to meet him or Zach Brown from McLaren.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
That's actually what I was going to ask you. You're a McLaren guy then?
I had the hat because the girls bought it for Christmas last year. So it was a rough start to the Formula One season this year for.
Oh yeah, it was.
But they turned it around second half.
Dude, so. How about that? I mean, Piastri. I think he got Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And Norris, he was competing with Norris, and Norris has been in that seat for how long? Yeah.
Piastri's good. I love his personality.
Yep.
Yeah, he's great. I'm excited. Just a few more months till we're back into Formula One season.
Yeah, I saw Max interviewing Alonso. Just asking him questions back and forth. And
I didn't see that yet.
Somebody commented, like, the winner of the Grand Prix should interview all of the other drivers. I thought that'd be a fun little segment, but of course you're going to have different personalities. So,
dude, I would love to see Max and Alonso together because, like, they're talking about, like, I can't remember which one of them said it. They would love to be with the other for, was it Le Mans, I think?
Yeah, yep. It was Alonso. Yeah, Alonso with Max. And Max is a big sim racer, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge.
I think after he won the driver championship, like, it was 3 hours after the last race, he was in a sim racing for an endurance
Always.
race. Yeah.
He's always in a sim. Like, it's ridiculous. I actually saw a really funny meme today of him on a sim, and then he has his champion title or whatever in the background, like the trophy or whatever, like in the background, and it's used to hold up Christmas cards. And people are like, oh, he's disrespecting it. It's like, well, and then somebody commented, I'm not sure if there's any merit to this, but like the real trophy's like in a museum, like that's
For
just
sure.
a
There
knockoff one.
probably is. Yeah.
And then he has the little Red Bull mini fridge like in the back. Just it looks like a college dorm, dude.
I like how they play the Dutch national anthem before the race even starts, and he's like, "Stop it!" Like he's getting annoyed with it.
Dude, they play that anthem so
Yeah.
much. I know it by heart now.
Well, Camille was talking about they have some circuits now where they race on the track and then they come off and then they race in a sim.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
That would be sweet.
That would be friggin' awesome.
Yep.
I can't remember exactly what. I'll have to go back and listen. I think he talks about it in the.
Yeah, there's a series out there where they race actual cars on track, and then part of the series is they have to go and race in a sim.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool.
Huh.
I heard about that.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So then to recap then,
Yeah.
Viper track car,
I would do the Viper track car.
Gen 4 ACR, correct?
Yep, Gen 4 ACR.
Okay.
Twin turbo, built by Nth
Oh, you
Moto.
would do a twin
Yeah,
turbo.
I would do that.
I think there's maybe like a handful of Gen 4 twin turbos out there.
Full disclosure, if I knew what Gramps was going to cost, I would have did twin turbo Gen 4 ACR instead of building Gramps. But hindsight's 2020.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between a Gen 4 and Gen 5s, so it would
Yes.
not have been as expensive as many people would think.
There was one for sale before I built Gramps, and I so wish I would have. It was the same color scheme that I had. James Schlock or something like that on Facebook owned it, and he wanted 200 grand for it.
Interesting.
I should have had it. Yep.
And then,
Hindsight, but yeah.
and then the Continental, and then so back to the daily, you're locking in AMG GT?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I would go with that.
Well, perfect. On that note, where can people find you?
Everywhere, St. Cloud. They can
No
find
addresses.
Me on, no, yeah. You can find me on Facebook, Michael Morgan or Morgan's Motorplex. I also manage US Air Motorsports Raceway, so if you see some memes, that's probably me poking fun at you guys. That's been fun too, managing that, just because it's all drifters, so we could give each other shit and they know where it's coming from. But yeah, find me on Facebook. Otherwise, we got our web pages, morgansmotorplex.com. We haven't released anything for 2024 yet. I just got confirmation on the way up here that we're going to host that karting event on the 20th of January. So, yeah, Pro Kart Maple Grove.
Sweet.
So that'll be a fun time. Yep. So we get about 60 carts, 60 drivers up there. Everybody runs 5 minutes. You run a lap time, and then we sort everybody in that group of 50 or however many show up, top to bottom, and then the bottom 8 race against each other. Next 8, so the field is very comparable while you're out there. So it's competitive. So yeah,
skill-based matchmaking.
exactly. Yep. Your I rating's not going to go down. So
Yeah. Is there a weight class?
I wish.
Yeah.
I so wish. Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Yeah.
We were talking.
Have a scale before you get in.
Yeah.
We talked about doing it. Yeah. So like anybody under 170 would go into one class, and everybody above 170 would go to another. Like we would weigh everybody, and then find out where that split would be, and then that class would compete. Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
We talked about it. It just takes a little bit. So.
It's what makes it not as fun for me being a big guy.
I
But
like-
you
I
know,
like food.
it's
I choose food over being fast in go karts. So,
Yeah.
Yep. So.
it's still fun,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yep. 100%.
I don't know. Being in last is rough.
I'm trying to get that free Southwest seat next to. I'm just kidding.
Dude. Yeah, that one got people heated. That one got
That's
people
right.
heated.
They're focused on the flag now. So.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Dan?
Gunna Garage, we're there.
Yep.
Come
Sweet.
check us out. 2 ends.
Instagram, Facebook, Community, all that fun stuff, TikTok. As for me, you guys found me. Hopefully you know who you're listening to at this point, the Monoxide Podcast. For those of you that have been listening for a long time, share the show. It really helps us out, helps us keep growing. Finally dropped that after 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, sign up for the newsletter. Actually, the new Monoxide hoodies are live finally. I finally dropped them.
Dude, they're badass.
Yeah.
They are, so awesome.
For some reason, I haven't seen an order from you on Shopify yet.
That's weird.
I told Mal, I was like, we got to get one ordered, so.
Yeah, dude. I've been holding off for years on doing merch because I hate it. I hate it so much because it's difficult, right? Like,
Yep.
because if you sell 5, it's pretty spendy.
Yep.
But at the same time, I've gotten so much support on this, and my big thing was putting together something that's actually comfortable. I actually copied the Motion Auto TV hoodies that I got, because first thing I got is anytime I get new swag or merch, I look at the labels. I want to see what the blend
What the brand is. Yeah. Oh, blend. Okay.
Yeah.
I look at the brand. So like I looked at the shirts downstairs, the NL.
Yeah,
like that's been taken over. Yep.
Exactly. There's a reason it's the best. So like for me, it's like my monoxide hoodie. I only made 3. So I had my yellow one, my black one, and I think one other person bought one back in the day. So it wasn't necessarily like a drop or anything. And it lasts me 5 years. It didn't shrink. It's a good fit. All that's what I care about. But whereas opposed to my Sissio hoodie, which was my favorite one after Texas 2K, fucker shrunk immediately. Now, is that user error? Yes, but user error happens, and I expect that with car enthusiasts.
Right.
That's why I didn't want to do a white one. I did a cream one because it hides stains better.
Right.
You know, I get mustard on my hoodies, bro.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, so I got this Motion Auto TV one. I'm like, this is it. This is perfect. Like I can literally put my headphones in the hoodie. Like it's going to last. So that's why I copied all that stuff. I hit up Charles. I talked to him. So I'm like, yeah. I want to do quality. I don't care. Like if people could spend $70 on a fucking Nike hoodie, they can spend $65 on mine, which is going to last for 5 years.
The same argument. You want $50 for this? You're going to drop $70 on a Carhartt.
Listen, I saw what you bastards spent on Black Friday. Don't you fucking don't you get after me.
Yep.
So that's the rare self plug, because I'm really happy for those. I'm excited for those. And I think I need a Morgan's Motorplex shirt next season, so we'll talk about that.
We got him.
Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to my rant about hoodies. Michael, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
It was awesome to talk track stuff. I've been wanting to do this for, I'm not even kidding, 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
So it's about time. Dan, thanks for existing, and see y'all next time.
Thank you, guys.